the city of Vancouver.
What a week in Vancouver. First they get the Winter Olympics for 2010, then the panel comes to town for Friday Night Football. Damon Allen spent 7 years in black and orange, leading the Leos to the Grey Cup in 2000 and becoming the CFL's all-time passing leader along the way. Now Damon's in double blue and he's got the Argonauts offense rolling again.
Only 5, second and goal this time. Allen again. And it's a touchdown. Pay dirt for the Argos.
The Lions offense looks pretty sharp in its own right. The Leos may be 0-2, but Dave Dickinson and G-Roy Simon have become one of the CFL's most dangerous duos.
The crossing pattern. Over the middle, and another touchdown for G-Roy Simon.
It's Dickinson and the Lions and Damon and the Argos next.
Football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be hard to take. It's Friday, from coast to coast. The CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, get back, relax, watching Friday Night Football. Boys are too bad. Well, the CFL football game is up for grabs. It's Friday Night Football tonight.
It was an announcement that was heard around the world. Vancouver is now an Olympic city in 2010, but tonight we're going under the big top for some football. Toronto and BC on Wendy's Friday Night Football. No blackout tonight, so it's a pleasure to welcome football fans from coast to coast. Hi, everybody. Dave Randolph. You got your Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, and Jock Climbey, and we got a tilt for you tonight. You know, sometimes when we look at the matchup, we have our meetings, we massage it a little bit, try to come up with a storyline. Not tonight. This one is crystal clear, cut and dried, so obvious, even we could figure it out. Damon Allen is back in town for the first time to face the team that he led to a Grey Cup championship in the year 2000. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's ready to go tonight. He'd never said anything publicly, but he's fired up. But he's not the only one with a homecoming this evening.
Dave, I reckon there's probably about 9 guys in this Argo lineup who have a chip on their shoulder and one coach, and that being Adam Rita. Every time you move football teams and reporters come and ask you, how do you feel about playing your old team? They're looking for a story. You'll never give it to them. As a player, you'll always give them the party line. The reality is much different. For these guys, it's personal. They're fired up. They want to make a statement. They want to prove to the Lions that they made a mistake in not holding on to them. Now, they're playing on a short week, are the Argos. They're also just flew across 3 time zones. I tell you, every time I played in BC Place, felt like I was playing uphill. But for these players that used to be BC Lions, Chris, for these guys, it's personal. They will use that emotion to their advantage, and I think that will even out the playing field.
Hey, Jock, tonight we have an opportunity for one of the best games of the year because of the 2 quarterbacks, Dickinson and Allen. Both of them can make the improvisational plays outside of the pocket and the discipline plays inside of the pocket. Also, if there's 3 minutes left in the half of the game, they can produce points with limited time. Hey, this is week number 3 in the Canadian Football League. These offenses are no longer an experiment. They're a rehearsed process. The reaction time is much quicker. In the CFL, it's all about quarterback efficiency. Matty, you know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. We got 2 of the best tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun watching these guys go out there and produce. And one guy I'm going to break it down for you, Dave Dickinson with the BC Lions, is a better quarterback than was the MVP in year 2000 when he threw 36 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions. How can you say he's a better quarterback? Well, he's got a stronger arm, he's more mature, and he sees the field better. This is scary. And when his teammates start raising their level of play to match his, this offense is going to be just fine, and this BC Lions football team is going to get on track. I'm talking about Ryan Thelwell and Chris Brazel trying to get off. I'm talking about G-Roy Simon, Brett Anderson. These guys are already leading the way. When they start following suit and they start producing like they're capable of, I know Dave Dickinson and this Lions offense is going to be just fine, Dave.
Time now to introduce your starting quarterbacks, brought to you by Wendy's. We've already talked about it. You got Damon Allen, only missed 2 games over his last 6 years here in BC. Dave Dickinson, some big numbers through 2 weeks. but no wins under his belt in Vancouver yet.
Glenn Suter's hometown will host the 2010 Olympic Winter Games. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Vancouver.
Hey, lots to be excited about here in BC these days, including the football game tonight. The Argos are in town. Damon Allen versus Dave Dickinson.
Two great quarterbacks with something to prove on TSN tonight.
There's another game in the CFL tonight, and it's a big one as well. A couple of 2-0 teams at Taylor Field and Regina. And look at this, the Riders up 14-3. Nealon Green and Travis Moore with the touchdowns in that one. We will keep you updated. Here's John and Glenn, guys.
And Dave, it's been a great news week on the West Coast. BC Place Stadium will be the centerpiece of the Olympic ceremony 7 years from now. Our congratulations to all involved in the Vancouver Whistler Olympic bid.
But a little football tonight, a homecoming. Damon Allen is back in town versus BC's Dave Dickinson. They both have a little something to prove.
As always, it's perfect under the dome tonight.
Mike Clements doesn't know how good his Argos really are just yet after Monday's pounding of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He does know that with Damon Allen as his quarterback, Toronto has a chance and is a Grey Cup contender.
Wally Bueno has just begun rebuilding the British Columbia Lions. Dickinson at quarterback is a great beginning. However, there are still a lot of questions to be answered about the Lions in their 50th year in Canadian football. We're underway with the Lions kickoff. Bashir Livingston for the Argonauts. Out across the 35. And stopped by Harvey Stables there. Damon Allen is back in BC with a little something to show here in his first appearance as a Toronto Argonaut. A couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions, one win, one loss for Allen in double blue.
With all of the media, when he arrived, he took the high road, and of course he would. He's been professional about things like this his entire career, but you know, deep down in that belly, he has a burning desire to perform tonight.
Argonauts begin near the 35, and they want to run the ball a little more effectively tonight. Just 2 yards picked up there. Allen will be 40 this month. He still runs like a deer. He'll have another ex-Lion, Alfred Jackson, making his first start in Toronto after 9 years in BC. Michael Jenkins will run behind this offensive line, and up front, Jude St. John in his 9th CFL season.
Alfred Jackson has fresh legs, too. Hasn't played yet in the regular season due to a hand injury. It's not completely healed. He's ready to go tonight, though.
Allen looks at 2nd and 8. The pressure is on, and he fired this one about 12 yards too far. Tony Miles was the closest receiver.
Defensively for the BC Lions, led in the middle by Barron Simpson, Carl Kidd. Right beside Simpson, the two are dynamite in the linebacking core. And in the secondary, Mark Washington back in the lineup at safety should solidify what has been a challenge on one side, veterans on the other, Eric Carter and Bo Lewis.
Vitolo drops deep for the BC Lions. This guy has been impressive so far. Noel Prefontaine across his 25 to left foot this one. Down to the BC 25. Flags are down. A couple, in fact, right at the 30. And on the return, just 6 yards. Michael Fletcher leading the tacklers there. Dave Dickinson, the prize catch of the BC Lions, is due to get this offense fired up after back-to-back losses in his first 2 starts as a BC Lion.
And I just love this matchup, and I think you could take these two teams and find a parking lot and we could play this football game. They'd be happy. They both have something to prove for different reasons. Dave Dickinson, the tactician.
Holding, BC number 2. Major foul, face mask, Toronto number 2. First down.
The tactician. He is a student of the game and will methodically pick you apart all the way down the field. And Damon Allen, athletically gifted, his strength is to improvise. And it is quite a quarterback matchup tonight.
Dave Dickinson will begin inside the 35. Kelvin Anderson turns the corner, and the ex-Stampeder has a nice run to begin with and a first down. Orlando Steinauer got over to make the tackle. The rest of the offense for the Lions, Dickinson has Chris Brazel and G. Roy Simon as key targets, and the ex-Stampeder, Calvin Anderson, to run the ball. We've seen that already. Up front, there's another ex-Stampeder. He's a giant-sized tackle. His name is Olester Pope, and he weighs in, Glenn, at 386 pounds.
Which I will check, but I believe is the largest boned player in the Canadian Football League.
Calvin Anderson out to the 50.
Defensively for the Toronto Argonauts, the veterans in the middle, Michael O'Shea. He is in his 11th season in the Canadian Football League, but the guy who was the key to a pounding versus a Hamilton Tiger Cats plays in the secondary, Clifford Ivory, with 2 touchdowns, 1 on special teams and 1 an interception for a touchdown.
Starting lineup brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. Some early movement, and yes, there are flags. Brazel makes the catch. He's in first down territory, very close to the necessary yardage. Stopped by Adrian Smith. We'll check the infraction.
Now this one's just a matter of procedure against the Lions, or did they draw the Argos offside? Tremendous intensity in the face of Dave Dickinson. Just a little something to prove for Dickinson as well. 0-2 start. He has played very well in both games when you look at the numbers. Close to 70% completion percentage. He leads the league in passing yardage after 2 games.
And that percentage is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Well, it truly is. And then you look at the record, and he's got the donut in the win column. So desperately needs to get his team in that win column here tonight.
And reunited with the only coach he's ever known in Canadian football, Wally Buono. So that was the determining decision, one would guess. And the reason that Dave Dickinson chose the West Coast as opposed to other offers that were definitely out there.
That's how short the BC Lions will be of a first down. And when you look at his numbers, and this is Saturday versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I should say, and decent numbers, 20 of 26. 2 touchdowns, just 1 pick, and get up around that 70% completion percentage, and that's tops in the league.
Riders winning that one by a couple of points, and in week 1, the Lions lost a narrow decision to Winnipeg.
Toronto is declined. 3rd down.
Heard the infraction after the measurements. The announcement was made.
Well, you mentioned, John, that Dave Dickinson reunited with Wally Buono, also reunited with Kelvin Anderson in the backfield. This is 2nd game for Kelvin Anderson, but a chance for him to settle in. The two have worked together in Calgary before, and I asked Kelvin Anderson before the game how he thought about this different colored jersey. He says, hey, you'll get used to this in a hurry because I'm going to have a game tonight.
Lions go gambling on 3rd and inches, and Dickinson will have it. However, 2 more flags come down. So Dickinson had the necessary inches, but they'll discuss this before awarding a first down or not. 13 years for Wally Buono in Calgary.
Toronto number 95.
Well,
First down.
Toronto's offside there, and you look at this one right here in the middle. I mean, 8 first-place finishes in 13 years for Wally Buono. Now, the wheels have sort of fallen off in the last couple of years for Wally, which is why he's the head coach of the BC Lions and not the Calgary Stampeders. And you look at the last couple of years, but certainly a man who knows how to build a successful franchise.
See, I think this is going to work out well. I think 13 years in one spot coaching in any sport is amazing. A little bit long.
Yeah.
And players tune out on you after a while. Here's Dickinson on first down. Little confusion upfield.
Ryan Thelwell came on the backside post. G. Roy Simon, who is the leading receiver in the CFL, coming into this game, is open on the corner pattern when he goes back to that sideline. On the backside of that play, Thelwell was coming into the middle of your screen, and you can see how Dave Dickinson had locked into Thelwell from the get-go. And there's a little bit of Toronto coverage back there. In fact, 3 DBs back there with Thelwell.
Open target was on the other side. 2nd and 10 Lions. Inside the 50. Shotgun for Dickinson. Charge was on. Outstanding catch as Thelwell climbed the ladder and brought it down. One hand into the other. We've seen some great plays.
Well, you know, Thelwell fought it, but he brought it down, and that's the bottom line. But I love the timing of the throw from Dave Dickinson. Drops back in that pocket. He's got to get rid of it now. Thelwell just comes around the corner, and as he does, the ball arrives. And that's why it looked like Thelwell was going to catch it right over in this area. Fought the football a little bit, because as he turned around, is right there. Now he has to come back and fight it. He comes down with it.
16-yard gain. The Lion march continues. Kelvin Anderson.
Oh, baby.
Running well tonight, isn't he?
That's a sweet move right in the hole.
Orlando Steinauer to make the tackle.
Because you don't have much room when you're running between the tackle and the guard. In that area, there's a lot of traffic. That's where it can get pretty congested. And Kelvin Anderson makes a nice little move right in the hole. He's going to take this little draw underneath. And look at this little shift right there. Gets Michael O'Shea frozen in his tracks and picks up another 4 or 5 yards. Kelvin Anderson, he feels like he's going to have this breakout game tonight as a BC Lion.
Second start for Anderson. Averaged 5.6 yards a carry.
Just 11 carries.
Picked up 9 there. This is 2nd and 1. And the Lions will get it here. Across the 20.
Well,
Lyle Green carrying that time.
John, football fans tonight are going to get a great look at two tremendous quarterbacks that are very different in their approach to the game. And Wally Guano loves the way Dave Dickinson approaches the game. He's very cerebral. He understands. He's methodical. He'll use all his weapons. He'll get his running game involved. Damon Allen loves to improvise and move around. You get a chance to see two different styles tonight.
Lions running effectively. It's Kelvin Anderson one more time. Sliding off tackle and stopped by Antonius Bonner.
Well, and they're attacking with Kelvin Anderson at different sides of the field as well. They've run 2 running plays to the left side of the formation. That one went the opposite way to the right to keep that Argo defense off balance. And keep Michael O'Shea and the boys up front running hash mark to hash mark. You can already see they're starting to breathe hard in this series alone.
5 receivers set in there for the Lions now on 2nd and 5. At the Argonaut 15, Dickinson buys time. The end zone toss. Oh, deflection. Frank Catolo comes up with the ball. The rookie out of Illinois.
Rather be lucky than good, or good to be lucky. I'm not sure how that works.
Works either way.
It works either way. Alonda Steinauer, the safety at the bottom of your screen, has this one read. You see how he reads the eyes of Dickinson. He flies over. He'll show up with a perfect position and a chance to intercept that ball right through his hands. Catolo with the big touchdown. He stuck with it.
Very, very impressive march for the BC Lions.
Dickinson used all his weapons. Finished with a touchdown.
Yeah, got a little break there, but he has a 7-0 lead. Some great plans for the Olympics here in Vancouver. Watch this for the BC Lions here.
Well, Frank Catolo, you got to give him credit for sticking with it. Never gave up on that pass.
Livingston. Stop by Mark Washington.
Livingston with a 15-yard
16 on the return.
First down at the Toronto.
And you talked about Dave Dickinson scoring drive. 10 plays, John. He used all his weapons. Went to Kelvin Anderson. This is good news for the BC Lions. 0-2 to come into this game. And so far after 2 games, they've only put up 7 points in the first quarter. It's been their worst quarter. Already they have 7 with lots of time to go.
Curtolo's 3rd touchdown as a BC Lion. The Argonauts will try and answer with Damon Allen here. He has Tony Miles, and he'll be close to a first down.
Miles tackled by Ron Hockey on the play.
Now we get a chance to look at the all-time leading passer in CFL history and a guy with that extra motivation. 7 years with the BC Lions. Of course, was the quarterback that led this team to the 2000 Grey Cup. There's his numbers as a BC Lion, 1996 to 2002. And in the year 2000, went into Calgary and actually took the locker room from the Calgary Stampeders to win that Grey Cup.
Well, that was Dave Dickinson's super year in the
Without a doubt.
CFL, the
And then
most
was
outstanding player in the league. And then in the Western Final, when it mattered most, he couldn't finish the game. And surprising everyone, the BC Lions in that run to the 2000 Grey Cup, coached by Steve Barrato that year.
Dave Dickinson injured, as you mentioned, and nice drive by Dickinson, finished off. He got a little bit lucky, but he went to the right man. This ball is just a little bit underthrown, which gives Orlando Steinauer a chance at it right there. If it's got a little more air under it, Catolo runs right underneath it. Either way, it works out for the BC Lions. They get a break early, and those bounces always have a tendency to even out by the time the game is over. And Catolo has been a great addition to this football team. He helps out in the return game. Like you mentioned, has 3 touchdowns already after just 2 games and half of a quarter.
David Bird, the injured Lion. Argonauts looking at second down and inches here. Pretty good bet that Damon would take it himself. Penalty marker is down.
Mike Clemens, head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, thinks Damon Allen can play 2, 3, and I heard Damon even mention in warm-up today 4 more years in the Canadian Football League.
Toronto 66. Still second down.
He will turn 40 July 29th. In fact, he's back home. He's still has his house out in White Rock, and little birthday celebration for Damon Allen with the family last night. But Mike Clemens believes in him, and that's the one thing that Damon Allen is really cherishing at this moment in his career.
And on July 29th, he will be the fittest 40-year-old in North America, without question. Alfred Jackson, a familiar connection with Damon Allen on the West Coast. And there are lots of players from the other side in this one tonight.
And there's Jackson and Allen, maybe most notable, but there's a bunch of them. Noel Cantor, Raphael Ball, of course, Michael Fletcher was a couple of years back, but Adam Rita, Rich Stubler, 2 coaches, and every one of those players deep down in there want to prove something tonight. And again, they don't talk about it much. They won't make a big story out of it. You don't want to give any fuel to the fire to the opponent, but deep down where it matters, in the gut and in your heart, you want to prove something.
Catolo is back. Noel Prefontaine back from the National Football League. Across the Argo 30 to get a great kick away. Catolo across the 30 to about the 33, leading the tacklers, Michael Fletcher. It'll be 1st and 10 for Dave Dickinson of the Lions when we come back. The Argos' Clifford Ivory had a season in 1 game the other night against the Tiger Cats. 2 return touchdowns. Outstanding.
When you're a defensive back, it's the dream game to be able to touch the football as much as Clifford Ivory did, and not only that, but contribute offensively. That was on the punt, went down the ground, and that's a nice interception. Just jumped that curl and was gone 54 yards for a touchdown.
Interception return. Put 12 on the board all by himself against the Tiger Cats. Dickinson out on the far side. Geroy Simon, who's been outstanding in the last couple of weeks.
Well, he leads the Canadian Football League after a couple of games, and it'll be interesting to watch. And Geroy Simon will play a lot of different places and different formations, but sometimes tonight we'll see this matchup. Clifford Ivory coming off a great game, Defensive Player of the Week, against Geroy Simon, who, like I mentioned, leads the Canadian Football League in yardage. Over 100 yards in both games.
Yeah, back-to-back 100-yard games for Geroy Simon. Picked up a couple on the previous play. 2nd and 8. Dickinson won't get this one away. And he's been dumped a time or 2 so far this season. Mike O'Shea getting through that time.
Well, he has. That's the 10th sack on Dave Dickinson. They came into the game with 9. That's ranked 8th in the league, and you're going to see how the pocket collapses around him. But you know what, I think BC Lion fans, what's interesting about this is that Dave Dickinson, in his tremendous year in 2000, where he threw 36 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions, was sacked 47 times that year. In fact, the team, the Calgary Stampeders, were sacked 55, which was worse in the league. He was sacked 47 and still put up some great numbers.
Wow, still threw 36 touchdowns. Livingston has it bounce over his head. What should have been outstanding field position for the Argonauts won't be unless Livingston turns this corner. Almost got around. Ron Huckabee leading the tacklers. First sack of the night. Dickinson wrapped up by O'Shea. Lots of ex-Lions on the field in Argonaut double blue, and a few on the sidelines as well. Here's Farhan.
Yeah, thanks, John. Greg Mont, it's been a while since you were with the BC Lions, but this is like a Lions alumni game with all these changes.
Well, there are a lot of former BC players on our sideline, and obviously coaches, and so it's fun to be back in Vancouver.
Yeah, much has been made about Damon coming back here to face his former team and other 4 guys that were with the team last year. Talk about what Damon's going through tonight.
Well, I think obviously has to be some emotion for him. You know, he's been here, I think it was 7 years, and he had a lot of great games in this place, and so we got to get going and get some consistency on the offense.
Thanks for your time. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Damon aired one out there.
Yeah, he threw that about 70 yards. Certainly still has the arm strength necessary to play at top of his game, and that one went a long way, and he had a guy in his face too. As he went to throw this, he gets hit, and that ball travels a long way. He just threw it past everybody, including Mike Morreale, his intended target.
He was the target. 2nd and 10. Argonauts 42. Far side, Allen just missed. Michael Jenkins, the intended receiver.
Bit of a different formation for the Toronto Argonauts to put Michael Jenkins out of the backfield. That's Randy Bowles, number 34, is going to step up and try and block. Then he releases outside. Michael Jenkins went and lined up as a wide receiver on the play. One of the reasons that you do that is to distinguish coverage before the snap of the ball. If a linebacker goes out to Jenkins, it's man-to-man. If they leave a defensive back on him, it's zone.
Cutolo, who has the touchdown already. Deep for BC. Prefontaine inside the 30. They thought about a fake, and they'll go to it. Prefontaine is wrapped up.
Oh, baby, what a play by Barrett Simpson.
Perfectly by 51, as you say.
The Argos needed one block and couldn't get it.
First turnover has the Lions set up in great shape. Far side, Dickinson. Catch made, and inbounds, Chris Brazel. And here's what didn't work for the Argos.
Michael O'Shea's the key. Watch O'Shea. He starts to walk across to the opposite side of the formation. He's got to seal the backside of the play. Barron Simpson, with tremendous hustle, just runs past the block of O'Shea and just trips up Noel Prefontaine. And then Brazel catches his first one to take advantage of some of that momentum.
Another first down for the Lions set up this time at the Argonaut 20. Nice play action fake. Dickinson, the touchdown toss. He's got it.
What a throw.
G-Roy Simon. That's more like it.
That was money. That throw was perfect because Clifford Ivory, and we just mentioned the matchup, was trying to bait Dave Dickinson to throw an interception, and Dickinson put it in the only place it could be.
Right on the fingertips of G-Roy Simon. And quick points off the turnover. Quickly, it's 14-0 for Wally Buono's BC Lions.
Dave Dickinson is going to drop back in the formation. He recognizes the coverage right away. Little play action. But then he's going right down the backside seam, or the front side seam, I should say, to G-Roy Simon. And you see Clifford Ivory, he had baited Simon. This is the turnover that sets it up on the punt formation. Great hustle from the backside from their leader on defense, Baron Simpson. That creates a turnover. Dickinson takes advantage of it quickly with the throw to Chris Brazel on the outside, right in this area. He gets the thing moving with Brazel on a quick fade down the sideline there. Catches that one, leads right to the G. Roy Simon touchdown. What a throw by Dickinson.
The fake wasn't well orchestrated, but this was right into G. Roy Simon's hands.
What Clifford Ivory did there, John, is he waited in behind G. Roy Simon, tried to bait him, thinking as soon as that ball's in the air, I'm cutting underneath for the pick. And Dickinson put it just over his hands and into Simon's hands.
Impressive total so far, 6 of 7, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns for David Dickinson. Livingston is back. Curtis Head. The new Lion kicker. Livingston tracked down by Kidd. He gets to the outside. Lost his footing momentarily. And a decent return considering the coverage. 17 yards. Out across the 30 to near the 35. G. Roy Simon back-to-back 100-yard games and a nice start to this one tonight.
Simon says he's got game. And he is putting together so far his best ever season. There's his numbers versus Saskatchewan, 121 yards. Week 1, 157 and 2 touchdowns. G. Roy Simon, and you know, it's obviously very early, but I love to look at the pace of some of these players. G. Roy Simon's on pace for 2,500 yards.
And here's a 20-yard touchdown reception. Perfectly executed pattern by Simon.
Well, nice layered pattern underneath to keep any safety out of the middle. And Simon right at the back of the end zone. Right in behind Clifford Ivory. And when you have a touchdown pass, you know, you get your name in the paper and on radio.
Coming into the game, 297 all-purpose yards for G. Roy Simon.
Clifford Ivory talking to Antonis Bonner there saying, I had him under control. I tried to bait Dickinson for that interception. He just threw it pretty well.
See, that's the thing.
Kind of fucked me up.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Catch the Argonauts again next Thursday on CFL Live in Ottawa. A new quarterback will be starting for the Renegades in that one.
And Crowley released by the Ottawa Renegades. Kerry Joseph is the backup quarterback in Ottawa, and looks like he will get the start versus the Toronto Argonauts, who are still really trying to feel out just how good of a football team they are. After a pounding versus Hamilton that was so lopsided, they really had trouble gauging where they were, and then they had Saskatchewan on the ropes, and the Rough Riders stole one from them in the last minute of play in week 1.
49-8 against the Tiger Cats the other night. Doesn't give a true rating because there were points off turnovers and things didn't go at all well for the Tiger Cats. Don't take anything away from the Argonauts for the victory, but 49-8 flatters them a little bit, I would suggest. Although there are some problems that the Tiger Cats have to sort out, not the least of which is finding a quarterback who's going to be healthy, like Dan McManus.
I love after that game, Ron Lancaster's quote in the paper about his special teams. He said, in my 40 years, I've never seen anything that bad. And that's about how bad it was in most phases of the game for the Hamilton Tiger. Defense didn't play bad, but the other 2 phases were terrible.
Livingston, the injured Argonauts. It'll be 1st and 10 Toronto. Allen shotgun. Shovel pass here. Jenkins. He'll have the first down or be very close to it. Michael Jenkins. Nice little spin right in the middle of the run.
First couple of series for Damon Allen and the Argos were right out of the pocket. Michael Jenkins on that play on the little shovel pass underneath moves the pocket sideways now and starts to get a little more movement and mobility out of Damon Allen. So get Jenkins involved, 1, but number 2, get him involved outside of the pocket a little bit.
They want him to touch the ball at least 20 times tonight. He picks up 11 on the shovel pass from Allen. First down, Toronto. Allen has another open target at the 50. Daryl Mitchell has 13 yards.
John, Michael Jenkins on that play looked like they were trying to run the shovel pass the opposite direction, and he just pulled up limping on the entire play. He's going to come from the left of your screen over here, and as he comes underneath, watch how he sort of pulls up. Look at 2-7. Now he start to limp right there, and he's going to walk off and go down on one knee after the play. Now he's been fighting injuries for the first 2 games of the season. In fact, he didn't play a whole lot of the Hamilton game because they wanted to rest him.
8 carries, 61 yards, 1 reception for 12 yards coming in, and that's not what they were hoping for from Michael Jenkins when he gets back. So injuries are a factor, and he's out at least for a couple of plays here now.
And here's the other thing they're hoping for with Michael Jenkins is that he gets back to his 2001 year where he had 1,400 yards and set the Argo record. He's certainly capable of doing that in a hurry, but he's got to get healthy. And the downside for Mike Clemens right now is versus Hamilton, they dressed John Humphrey, backup running back, backup tailback, just in case this scenario was created. Now they took Humphrey off
to get Alfred Jackson.
That's right, to put Alfred Jackson on the line in the lineup. So what Mike Clemens will have to do to juggle things now is go to more of a 5 receiver pack. Possibly may even see 6 receivers in the game with Michael Jenkins on the limp.
Argonauts coming in 1-1 to this game after a tough loss to Saskatchewan, as Glenn talked about. And then the win. British Columbia has been bidding for the Olympic Games since the 70s. And it does feel good out here, just being around everybody. I mean, there's a smile on everyone's face, and we saw a lot of that when the official announcement was made.
Well, no question, it's the buzz, and it's just tremendous. Even the people who are a little bit against it are now saying, hey, now that we have it, let's get behind it.
Well, it's great news for Canada. Here's Tony Miles. Lost the ball, but I think they had whistled him down. Tony Miles, 11 games with the Tiger Cats last year. Makes the catch, he'll have the first down, and there was no fumble there.
And an example of a different formation for the Argos based on Michael Jenkins not being in the roster, or on the field, I should say, that moves Tony Miles from a wide receiver now down inside as they check out the right leg of Michael Jenkins.
An 11-yard gain. Argonauts have put together a nice little drive here, trailing by a couple of touchdowns. The shovel pass to Tony Miles, not quite as effective as it was moments ago to Michael Jenkins. Farhan?
Well, John, bad news for the Argos. Bashir Livingston is out for the game. He didn't even know the score when he was informed by team doctors that the team had messed up on a punt. He thought it was him who had dropped it. So needless to say, he will not be back out with a concussion. Right now they're looking at the right leg of Michael Jenkins, actually his ankle, but he seems to be moving it around quite well at this point, and they'll probably take another look at him before making a decision. We'll have to get the trainers back to us to decide who's going back into that one.
Michael Clemens looks at 2nd and 11. Damon Allen can't escape. Several BC Lions there, including Tyrone Williams, who makes the stop.
Tyrone Williams with the sack on the play. 3rd down.
Bashir Livingston also a huge loss for the Argos. He had a touchdown on a 72-yard return in his first game back with Toronto. So 2 major weapons right now gone for Mike Clemens.
And the gamble that didn't pay off set up the 2nd BC touchdown. So the Argonauts find themselves in a deficit at 14-0 here. Noel Prefontaine has been perfect so far. Blocked there. Loose ball. We've seen a lot of this so far in 2003. Recovered at the 35-yard line. The Lions have it. Carl Kidd coming up with it. But on the block, it would have been a BC ball anyway. But it was a fun play to watch, wasn't it? Things are going extremely well for the BC Lions.
Low kick from Noel Prefontaine, blocked right down Main Street. Lions get another huge turnover.
And that's the final play of the quarter. Here are the guys in the end zone.
Thanks, Wellesley. Well, remember, the Argonauts played on Monday against Hamilton. They're starting to look like Hamilton did on Monday. Whether fatigue is a factor, the bottom line is that quarter went about as badly as it possibly could have, right down to the very end. BC, very impressive, up 14-0.
And my number one observation is defense for the BC Lions. How about number 51? Baron Miles, opening play, one-on-one against Michael Jenkins, wins the battle. Then Brett Johnson wins his one-on-one battle, puts Damon Allen on his back. We saw the fake punt. Who was there? Baron Miles. Now a blocked field goal. Different team on defense, led by number 51, Baron Miles. Matty, when he has a great game, the BC Lions have a great game.
Baron Simpson is all over it, big
Baron
man.
Simpson is all over it.
They know what you're talking about, and Baron Simpson is playing excellent. Well, Dave Dickinson didn't start out very sharp, but what he did, he was lucky. And what happened, he looked to safety right in the direction of Frank Catolo. But you know what? Sometimes this can right your ship. That's pretty lucky right there, folks. But he comes right back with a nice series after the turnover and throws a dime over the top of Clifford Ivory. They told me they wanted to go after this guy, Jock, before the ball game started, and it proved true. They found a weak link there, they feel, and they're attacking it.
On the other side of the ball, Matty, I talked at the outset about the challenges that Toronto faces. Short week, they played on Monday and traveling across the country. And here's how it affects you. It affects you mentally. And already we've seen a number of mental lapses by the Toronto Argos. We see Livingston let the ball bounce over his head. We see Jude St. John jump offside on 2nd and inches, and it kills a drive. We see a blocked punt or a blocked field goal. These are the sorts of things. Orlando Steinhauer had an interception in the end zone if you just focus on the football, as it is a 7 points the other way. These are the sorts of things that kill a football team if they can't overcome those obstacles, Dave.
And you got to overcome injuries, and we're certainly watching the situation with Michael Jenkins, and we'll see whether or not he is done for the night. The Argos certainly hope, but that's not the case. Wellesley?
Here are the numbers, and it's all BC thus far.
Yeah, net yards 91, the time of possession about even. And those 14 plays have been pretty darn good ones for the BC Lions. Like they mentioned, a little bit lucky for that touchdown, but that could turn it around in a hurry for you.
Well, the tip on Cutella's touchdown, and then following that after the fake, set up in nice territory there inside the 35-yard line on the touchdown to G. Roy Simon.
Well, we're in the first half, but this is a huge possession for the Argos defensively to try and fight that mental fatigue that Jock talked about and come up with a stop right now.
Lions are set up at the 35. Kelvin Anderson fights his way off tackle inside the 30 to about the 27. Kelvin Anderson coming over after his outstanding career with the Stampeders.
Well, look what he's done in the first 4 seasons. He's 4.9-yard average, yards per game about 66. Now, some people have said that he's starting to slow down a little bit, but the numbers just don't indicate that. In the last 3 seasons, 91 yards per game. The long run in both halves, exactly the same.
2nd and 5. It's Anderson again.
You know, and my point there with Kelvin Anderson, when you're talking about that, here's a guy now that, you know, he also has something to prove. He has something to prove to the entire league that he is worth the starting job in a lot of teams. And Kelvin Anderson is fired up for this game and for this season. And people have talked about, well, he doesn't break away anymore. Well, his long run in the last 3 years was 49 yards. Guess what? In his first 4, also 49 yards. Wally Buono believes in him. He won a lot of games with Kelvin Anderson in the backfield as a Calgary Stampede.
And he's worked Lyle Green into the offense well tonight as well. So it is Green coming up with a first down there for the BC Lions.
There's certainly a comfort zone as well between Kelvin Anderson and Dave Dickinson. If Kelvin Anderson has to block the backside for Dave Dickinson, the quarterback knows he'll be there for him.
Lions 1st and 10. Dickinson under the cover, looking for Kelvin Anderson.
A few incompletions for Dave Dickinson in this entire season. We talked about his completion percentage up around 70. Now Dickinson will use the entire field. He loves to dump the ball off underneath like he attempted to there to Kelvin Anderson and take what the defense gives him.
Dickinson looks at 2nd and 10 now at the Argonaut 25. Three receivers far side of the field. Dickinson has to get out of there, and he'll get the first down. Mike O'Shea over to make the tackle. Well, let's see where they spot it. He's awfully close. He's got 9 at least.
You know, Dave Dickinson, when you talk about him as a quarterback, not many people will say that he's a running quarterback. He runs effectively to buy himself some more time. And that time he did it as he picked his way up the field. But when he comes into this game after 2, he's got a 7.3-yard rushing average. That's Damon Allen numbers.
He picked up 9. Lions go gambling. With 1 yard necessary, and that'll be plenty. Lyle Green again.
Wally Buono. Here's that combination we just talked about. Dave Dickinson and Kelvin Anderson working together for years and years with the Calgary Stampeders. A couple of good ones. That year in 2000, Dickinson put huge numbers on the board. And a lot of them right to Kelvin Anderson.
Lions first down. The running game has worked effectively. It's Anderson again, but there's a penalty marker down. Kelvin Anderson with 3 1,300-yard seasons and 4 1,000-yard seasons in his 7 years with the Stampeders.
He's only known over 1,000 yards in his career in the CFL.
Offside, Toronto 95.
You know, and Wally Buono, before this game, criticized a couple of aspects of his football team. One, the defensive side a little bit, and he did it publicly. And the other he's done is the offensive line and challenged them. And right now, by involving Kelvin Anderson, he's given that offensive line a chance to become aggressive early in this game, to fire out and throw some blocks down the field against a team that's mentally a little tired right now in the Toronto Argonauts.
It was 1st and 5, and the play went nowhere. Whistle down before it began.
Time count violation. BC.
Dickinson very upset with himself for the call, simply because he had the coverage he wanted. You could tell when he took that ball from center and the whistle blew, he thought, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to see coverage-wise, and I just took that 1 second too long to get the football in my hands.
So the Lions are back where they started. It's 1st and 10 again. Previous play, 1st and 5 after the Argonaut offside. Anderson. Speed to the outside. Can't get around the corner. Took a big hit. Antonius Bonner, still substantial yardage. Adrian Smith was over to help out with the tackle as well.
Well blocked. Alonda Steinauer right there in the middle of your screen, coming on the safety blitz, but it's blocked well. The right side, Ben Fairbrother and Corey Mantika do their job to get Kelvin Anderson outside, because the Argos were loading up the box. That's the area between the offensive and the defensive lines from tackle to tackle. Argos loaded it up. He's blocked up well by the Lions.
Anderson has another 6, 2nd and 4 BC. 4 receiver set near side. And that's where Dickinson is looking. On the run. No connection. Ryan Thelwell was the intended receiver, number 3.
Well, Dickinson had to hang on to this football because he didn't get a lot of help from his receivers. Just take a look at the 3 of them right here, and he's got 1 on the sideline. 4 receivers to one side of the field. Ivory tracks his guy. He's doing a nice job. Not a whole lot of holes there for Dickinson to throw the football in.
Missing from this Lions offense, Jason Claremont, and he'll make a big difference for BC when he comes back.
Feels like he may be a week away from returning to the lineup.
Here's Curtis Head, perfect so far, 5 for 5. Make that 6 for 6 for the rookie kicker out of Marshall. All BC so far, 17-0. Jason Claremont out of the BC lineup tonight. He's on the sidelines down there with Barry Solkowski.
Thanks very much, John. Jason Claremont, I guess a day of progress today for you as far as your knee injury. For the first time, finally doing some running.
Yeah, I got to do some straight ahead running, not a whole lot of lateral stuff, but it seems like they don't need me right now anyway, so that's a good thing.
Can you circle a date as to when you might be coming back?
You know, we really don't want to rush anything. This team's going to go to the Grey Cup, And so I want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of that in November. And so rushing back right now would just put me at risk not to be in the run for the Grey Cup that we're going to have.
Offense has put up good numbers, except at the end of the first 2 games. It's just comforting to see them perform like this.
Absolutely. They've done a lot of great things out here. Special teams come up huge for us. Blocked punt, blocked field goal. And, I mean, if we can do those sorts of things all season long, I mean, we're going to be such a force to reckon with. It's not going to be funny.
Guy's another weapon when he returns, and he thinks he's playing football in the middle of November back home in Regina.
Yeah, bold prediction. And
I'm going to write that one down. This team is going to the Grey Cup.
Hey, and I will tell you something. Jason, at the beginning of that interview, said, they don't look like they need me right now. Hey, make no mistake. They need Jason Claremont in the roster. No question about it. This guy brings not only his ability to catch the football, but a toughness and an attitude to the lineup that's second to none.
6'2", 220 pounds. The guy is a force. 1st and 10 as the Argos try and get it going. With Damon Allen looking to take off for the first time tonight. Barely got back to the line of scrimmage.
Allen was trying to set up the screen pass. And Jeff Johnson was the running back that I believe was the target. And he got held up in the line of scrimmage. He was tackled basically by Cameron Legault, and when Allen looked up, he wanted to drop back, throw that little screen, and my screen guy's been swallowed up by Legault. So when I don't have my target, I better try and get something out of it.
Now Leah Legault is getting married tomorrow. That's Cameron's sister. She's marrying Larry.
Okay.
So Cameron says, "Hi, Leah." Tony Miles makes the catch.
Well, there you go.
Cedric Chris makes the tackle, and David Allen should have a first down out of this.
Now, Leah is Cameron's sister.
Cameron's sister, right.
And so Larry will be the new brother-in-law.
And Larry has the check mark stamp of approval.
Sure, but Larry,
the big guy.
Larry better be careful.
Well, I think Larry knows that.
Yeah, I think when you better take care of Leah, because you do not want to mess with an angry Cameron Legault. But congratulations.
Yes. Good luck, Leah and Larry. Allen did get the first down. He was almost picked off there. Darryl Mitchell was the target.
Well, you look at the first 2 games, and I mentioned it earlier, Wally Buono criticized publicly this defense. They allowed 64 points. They only have 1 sack to speak of and 0 interceptions on the board after 2 games. Now, they took some criticism, and they've stepped up their game. And Cameron Legault is one of the leaders in there, that he's going to be vocal in that huddle, along with Barron Simpson, make sure they right the ship.
2nd and 10, Toronto. Blitz is on. Allen escapes, throwing on the run. He'll get a first down out of the completion on the far side. Jeff Johnson into the game as the Argos try and juggle things around with the injury to Michael Jenkins.
Damon Allen's been under tremendous pressure. We talked about, there's the blitz coming from Derek Lewis right here, number 17. Coming off the edge from the secondary. Not picked up by Bowles in the middle. And Damon Allen is flushed out of there, but like he does, he's the best in the business at improvisation.
Jeff Johnson picked up 16. And Randy Bowles takes over from there.
I love this fake from Damon Allen. And this looks, it may look to the, to the casual observer a little silly the way Damon Allen did this, but there is a reason and a method to the madness. Allen turned around with the football and held it almost over his head, and the reason he did that was to show the entire defense that he had it in his hands, and then quickly slip it underneath the Bowles.
Bowles out of Simon Fraser University here in Vancouver. Part of the deal that brought Joe Montford back to Hamilton. Johnson was the intended receiver there on 2nd and 5.
Well, and Johnson has not had many reps at running right down the seam, and I think Mike Clements would like to have a word with him immediately and make sure that he understands that when you're running down that seam looking hot, you go straight. You don't bend into the middle at all, because when you bend into the middle, you run into Barron Simpson. Bad idea. Bad idea. Stay away from Mr. Simpson, number 51.
You like this idea, going for it on 3rd and 5, down 17-0 here?
I think anytime you're in field goal range, you put the field goal team on the field and try and come up with points. Now, the last time they tried it from long distance, it was blocked, and that may be changing Mike Pinball Clemens' decision in this instance.
Timeout at BC Place, and maybe a chance to rethink this. Mike Clemens talking to his quarterback, Damon Allen. Highlights from BC Place coming up on Sports Center with Hedger and O'Toole. And the touchdowns from Taylor Field as well. Alouettes and the Rough Riders at it there tonight. Saskatchewan, on the verge of a victory, perhaps leading 30-11. Battle of unbeaten teams there. Here's Damon Allen buying time. Tony Miles.
Oh, boy.
Decision. Well, we'll see where they spot this, Glenn, because it's awfully close.
Yeah, they're going to
Allen ad-libbing there, and Eric Carter coming up to make the tackle.
They're going to move the sticks. And it was a gutsy call by Mike Clemens, and you know that his heart was in his hand as he watched Damon Allen move around and buy some time. Some confusion from the formation caused BC to run around a little bit, and that left Tony Miles wide open right in the seam, and he has enough for the first down, but only by about a yard.
So this Argonaut drive engineered by Damon Allen continues. Pump fake, looks deep. Miles the target, end zone. No catch, no flag.
No flag. Shadrick Chris went down hard on the play with Tony Miles, and he was underneath Miles as they hit the ground, and he's still down.
The defender is hurt. Another look.
We have a great look at it for you. Tony Miles, he's in behind Chris. The ball is thrown right to him instead of out in front of him so he can run to it, and you can see how hard Chris went down underneath Miles on the play. Now the Lions have already had to do some juggling in their secondary. Remember, David Bird, the halfback playing beside Shadrick Chris, was already injured. Tony Walker playing for him. Now Chris has to go out for at least 3 plays.
And this has been an area of huge concern for the BC Lions, the secondary, with newcomers back there. Timeout. We'll be back.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders trying to go to 3-0 tonight at home against unbeaten Montreal. Here's the good news. They're up 32-11 thanks to this Travis Moore touchdown, his second. The bad news is they've lost Cedric Shaw, ACL.
Rough Riders are for real, it would appear. 30 points on the board at Taylor Field. 2nd and 10. Argonauts here. Morreale was the target. No connection that time.
Well, there's no question that Damon Allen will go right after the right side of that secondary, left to the BC defense, right side to Damon Allen as they attack. And they tried to go what's called a wheel pattern to get Mike Morreale down the sideline with Tony Miles running the post pattern, trying to fool that secondary who's had to make a couple of changes because of injuries.
An adventure on special teams for the Argonauts tonight. The fake punt didn't work. Last attempt was blocked from the 40-yard line. It'll be put down for Noel Prefontaine. And the Argonauts are on the board. This drive began back at the 39-yard line, and the Argos net 3. But it's a start, 17-3 on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Nancy Green and 18,000 of her closest friends at GM Place, Vancouver, Wednesday, when the announcement was made that Vancouver would host the 2010 Olympic Winter Games. It's been a great week in Vancouver. And a super start for the BC Lions here tonight. Huge hit there on Frank Cotillo on the return. And speaking of Olympic celebrations, an Olympian on the sidelines with Farhan Lodge.
Thanks, John. And this man was there, 4-time Olympian Chris Laurie. And tell me what went through your mind when they said the words Vancouver.
GM Place was actually absolutely wild. I mean, the amount of turnout there was incredible. And the amazing thing was when he opened the envelope, you could actually hear the crinkling of the paper when he opened the envelope. And then when he made the announcement, the place just erupted.
What does this mean for winter sports athletes and Olympians everywhere to host the game for the third time in Canadian history?
Well, when I see it the same as what it meant to us with Calgary in 1988. I just got my start in Calgary in 1988, like 5 years prior. The government put a lot of monies into the games, and that gave us a good foundation to build a legacy to become one of the best teams in the world. And look what it's done for speed skating, for example.
Chris, thanks for all your help in the bid, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot.
He was a member of the bid committee, hopes to be part of the organizing committee when it gets reformed.
Well, what it has done for speed skating, Catriona LeMay-Doan and so many others, and the bobsled team has won gold medals at World Championships and medals at the Olympic Games. So it's terrific news for all Canadians. I really do believe that. 2010 here in Vancouver. Early movement. Dickinson throws anyway. Oh!
Ivory.
Clifford Ivory almost had 6 more.
Almost a carbon copy. They played. That's exactly the type of pattern that he intercepted against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Offside, Toronto 95.
Eric England called on the offside, and Dave Dickinson knew this.
I'm sure he knew that, right?
He knew he had a free one, but he still doesn't want to get in the habit of throwing this kind of curl pattern with Ivory, number 13. Watch him jump it right here. Coming back. Just beat you to the ball.
That will make this 2nd and 6 for the Lions. Anderson sliding out of the backfield. Tough to bring down tonight. But not much yardage when all is said and done. Surrounded by the Argonauts, including Wayne Weathers, another of the newcomers.
Interesting formation and defense from the Argos. Wayne Weathers, who lines up usually in a 3-point stance, was standing up on the line of scrimmage and dropped out of there. And when he did, he was in charge of making the tackle and holding Kelvin Anderson short, and did a pretty nice job of it.
Miles is back. Livingston is on the sidelines and finished for the evening as the Argos' primary kick returner. This is Curtis Head. Averaging 42 yards a punt. He'll get a little roll here. Tony Miles turns it upfield. Nice return there as Javier Glatz comes up to make the tackle. Allen got points on his last drive. We'll see what he does here and now. Holding against the Argonauts on the return, so they will begin this drive back close to the 15-yard line, about the 17.
BC Lions have Shad Crisp back in the game on that right corner.
And then 58 for the Lions. Allen. Complete far side. It'll be good for a first down to Jeff Johnson. So that play got straightened out a little bit. Johnson had a problem earlier.
Shad Crisp had pushed him out of bounds. David Bird has not returned. Chris is going to drop real deep. You see how Damon Allen sells it with the play action to the right side of the formation, then dumps it to Johnson on the outside, and there's 21. Forced to make a tackle when he comes back in the game after being injured.
Nice yardage for Johnson, picked up 15. Allen in trouble. Morreale in traffic. There were 2 Lions covering. Morreale went up, couldn't bring it down.
What Morreale did, though, is he became the defensive back, and he had to, because Mark Washington was right there.
The Lions, a good night so far, leading 17-3. Coming up at the half on Wendy's Friday Night Football, the boys are ready. Look, they brought their own banner and everything.
Oh, they sure did. All these 4, right? And they're right up there right now. And usually we have some fun at their expense when we do these at times. We'll have a little fun, but they're here now.
Yeah,
they're with us. So
they're looking very good tonight, aren't they?
Right around the corner. And boy,
whoa! Heat was on Damon Allen that time.
Ron Okami coming off the edge, and he's just coming down on the blitz. And again, Lions coming with different formations and lots of pressure. They put Baron Simpson up in the line of scrimmage in the middle. Damon Allen tries to check out of it to find a new play. I'm not sure that he got it done. You see the line of scrimmage dominated right there by orange jerseys. They're all up and they're all coming. And you can't block them all. Ron Okami gets the sack.
Catullo is deep. Noel Prefontaine is as well, standing at his 5. Less than 3 minutes until halftime. Charge was on. Prefontaine got it away. Catullo with a great return of 13 yards after a 52-yard punt. Next Friday night, the Stampeders and the Tiger Cats from Ivor Wynn in Hamilton. That'll be the Wendy's Friday Night Football feature 1 week from tonight. Wally's former team against the Tiger Cats, struggling.
And hey, congratulations to Kevin Federick.
That was a pretty nice story, all said and done the other night in Calgary.
Very tough effort from Federick. Their first win on the board for the Stampeders.
Kelvin Anderson. Antonius Bonner met Anderson. And it'll be 6 yards at least.
Anderson's seen a lot more touches in this game so far. He's had 8 runs already. And he's got the catch. That's 9. He had 11 touches last week when you talk about the running game. So in a half of football, he's almost there. You project that over the entire game, and he's up in the 20s, and that's what running backs want.
And he has run well this evening, no question about that. A little something to prove for Kelvin Anderson, too. There's a lot of people in the CFL changing addresses and having a little something to stand up for in that sense.
Makes it fun for these rivalries, doesn't it? When you watch this first half of football, Dave Dickinson, he looks like he's dominated this game. He's played well without a doubt, but he's played on a short field because of some big special teams plays. The Argos are nowhere near out of this.
Nobody home for Dickinson that time. Closest receiver was Chris Brazel.
You know, that may look a little deceptive to some people because Dickinson has looked sharp, without a doubt, and that throw to G. Simon may be his best for the touchdown.
Holding, BC 57. Penalties decline, 3rd down.
But at 17-3, they're far from out of this, have this football game wrapped up with a half to play. They played on a short field because of a couple of special teams plays that's turned into points. The Argos are hanging in there battling. Damon Allen still has plenty of time to get them on track.
And a little bit of a break for the Lions on the 1 touchdown. Frank Catullo, that was tipped into his hands, and that made it 7-0. They were definitely in field goal range, but they did get the major. Tony Miles. Flags down on the return. 45-yard punt for Curtis Head.
The downside for the Lions is that they've lost Michael Jenkins, it appears. He hasn't returned since that ankle injury. He doesn't have his helmet on the sideline, so Damon Allen has to go with his backup, Jeff Johnson, and Randy Bowles. And that not only affects the running game, but it also affects protection. And you can see that Damon Allen has had to rush some throws. He's had pressure. Those are called hurries. They're not sacks, but they're called hurries because the quarterback doesn't want to throw it there.
And sometimes those hurries hurt.
Yeah, the hurries can hurt. Lots of pressure coming from a lot of different angles on Allen, and losing Michael Jenkins can affect not only the running game, but also the protection. Rich Stubler has done a pretty nice job game planning for this one. He just needs a couple of plays defensively. He needs maybe the defense to score to get him back in.
Jeff Johnson. In for Michael Jenkins. Johnson had One really nice gain on the far side. The previous Argonaut drive. Alfred Jackson to the near side. He and Damon Allen haven't hooked up quite as frequently as we might have expected. Johnson again sliding out of the backfield and he'll come up short of the first down. Ron Akame and Baron Simpson were there to beat him.
That's a good point, John. It's something that they may talk about, and that's Damon Allen and Alfred Jackson. Of course, not only did they play together here in BC, but they did some very impressive things together. I mean, that was the combination that put Damon Allen past Ron Lancaster. And I'm sure that Allen and Alfred Jackson will have a nice conversation at halftime and talk about ways that they can get him the football.
One catch for Jackson for 3 yards. That's all they've managed so far tonight.
Both know each other very well, and Alfred Jackson, he has no problem being outspoken and going over to the quarterback and saying, okay, man, now here's the deal.
I'm ready. I'm open.
I am open. Of course, a lot of receivers are like 7-Eleven. They're open all night. But Jackson often is, and I'm sure he'll go talk to Damon Allen.
Frank Cotello back for BC. Starts near the 50, and there are 4 Argonauts waiting for him right there. Leading the way are Michael Fletcher.
Boy, no, Prefontaine looked like he wanted to throw this football, and obviously special teams planned for the Toronto Argonauts to come up with some trick plays. No question that looked designed. He bought himself some time and just let that one go on the run. I think Mike Fletcher might have been the guy that was trying to run down the field, but he was covered.
Less than a minute to go till halftime. One last chance for the BC offense. Dickinson. Nobody home there near the 23-yard line. Chris Brazel was the closest receiver for Dickinson on that throw.
And Dave Dickinson pointed right to his own chest. He was patting himself on the front. So if you pat yourself on the back, it's a good play. If you pat yourself on the front, then it's not a good play. And what he's saying is that's my bad, because Chris Brazel on the sideline had turned on the out and Dave Dickinson had thrown the go route.
Brazel flanks to the near side this time on 2nd and 10 BC. Snap a little difficult to handle. Brazel makes the catch, turns it into a first down. No, he's a yard shy, maybe a yard and a half shy, stepped out.
Dickinson does all the little things so well. He takes this snap from the shotgun and just looks the entire time to the right side of the formation and then quickly whips his head around and gets it to Brazel. And that holds the secondary long enough to allow Brazel to catch a short pattern and turn it into a first down.
Well, they've spotted it a yard shy now, so the Lions will gamble here on 3rd and 1. Leroy Simon in motion.
I don't know.
Close.
It will be very close. It depends on where they put their foot down. I'm talking about the officials.
Close enough to bring in the chains. Watch again.
Look at that surge on the left side of that line. Wayne Weathers in there and Eric England did a pretty nice job of holding their ground, and it's going to be very, very close. Michael Fletcher, of course, believes it's going the other way, and he's right.
So this gamble will not pay off.
Well, and with 30 seconds, Damon Allen with 2 throws intermediate range has a chance for field goal range. 37 seconds. That's enough time for about 3-4 plays if you're efficient with them. And Toronto Argonauts would desperately like to have a little bit of momentum going in at halftime.
Unofficially, 37 seconds on the clock here at the stadium at BC Place. Time for Damon Allen to shine. Under the cover, that's Bowles. And he's to midfield. Baron Simpson, the middle linebacker, waiting for him there. That took 7 seconds off the clock.
Randy Bowles with the pass reception. Tackle on the play by
Adam Rita walking up and down the bench.
2nd and 4.
The Toronto Argonauts, and there's another guy who loved to have the big win, told he was no longer needed in the BC organization.
Something on the line for Adam here tonight. A little low, but they'll get a completion to Alfred Jackson. And Eric Carter was covering on the far side on AJ.
And that one play, although it produced a first down, it took a long time. It took basically 12 seconds off the clock. So now Damon Allen want to call these plays on the line of scrimmage. He still needs probably about 10 yards for field goal range for Noel Prefontaine.
Shotgun, Allen. First down, looking deep. Almost grabbed. Mitchell was the intended receiver. And Eric Carter had his hands on it.
Damon Allen pass attempt incomplete. 2nd down.
Mitchell down the seam, just an overthrow by Allen, who basically has him on the left side of your screen. He's in between the halfback and the safety, Mark Washington. You see the little gap that he had down that seam. Ball is overthrown. Eric Carter almost has the interception. That'll go down as a knockdown.
Could be the last play. No, they'll have time for one more. While Knight, far side, Allen took a hit, and Knight was on the sideline and couldn't make a play on it.
And right now, Noel Prefontaine would be looking at about a 57-yard field goal attempt. You place the ball 7 yards back of the line of scrimmage, which is about the 51, so 57 or 58, and it's a long field goal. Now, the last time he tried a long one, Prefontaine had it blocked, because when you try a longer field goal, the trajectory of the ball is lower. You need that strength to get it there. So one option for Damon Allen is to put student body right or left, throw it up and hope you either get a tip, like the BC Lions did early, or maybe a pass interference call.
3 seconds on the clock, and this will be the last play, barring a penalty. Then we'll head to the other end of the stadium here at BC Place, and those smiling faces will greet you. Allen for Bowles, couldn't make the catch.
Penalty.
Penalty coming here on the coverage by Baron Simpson.
Yeah, and I was wondering about it. And Baron Simpson is not a dirty football player by any means. He is a solid football player from start to finish. And he just took one extra step. This was just Baron Simpson walking through with it. I think he could have pulled off, and I was wondering the flag was going to come out. Sure enough. Now, could he get out of there? Yeah, he could have stopped, no question. And that will give Damon Allen one more play.
Well, and the yardage picked up here.
Might even be field goal formation.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, BC 51.
Well, they're in Prefontaine range here.
Yeah, they are.
The foul was after the play. It'll be a slide on the kickoff.
Oh, it's a dead ball foul. Dead ball foul, so it ends the half.
Aha. There you go.
So they don't get a chance at the field goal because it happened after the fact. They had blown it dead.
The pass
dead ball
was
foul.
incomplete.
So the half is over.
Yardage will be applied on the kickoff to begin the second half. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, and the gang's all here.
We're all up in the corner of BC Place Stadium, where at the half it's 17-3. Hi again, everybody. Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, Jock Climbey, and Dave Randorf with you. Second quarter went a whole lot better, I guess, for the Argos. They almost got some more points out of it, but Schultz, bottom line is they got to get that offense rolling, or it's going to be one-sided.
You know, Dave, key moment in the second quarter. The Argonauts are facing a 3rd and 5 situation. Coach Clemens takes the timeout, brings Damon Allen over, and I almost can hear the conversation. Damon, we got to get the momentum back. This game is getting out of of control. You think you can make this happen. Well, with Damon Allen's skills, he made it happen. Now, they only got the field goal out of it, but for every touchdown you're behind, you might as well take 5 or 6 plays out of your playbook. That game was on the verge of getting out of control. Clemens' gutty decision kept it in control. Now, all Toronto has to do is eliminate those penalties. Most of them are concentration penalties based on fatigue, which is the short week, which is what you expressed, Jock.
Yeah, and Chelsea, just after they went for the gamble on that play, we saw a ball go down into the end zone to Tony Miles. And it was a great idea by the coaching staff to try to go with a hitch and go on the sideline. But what it takes is Tony Miles to give a little something right there. He doesn't. But what he does get is the pass interference here. Watch Chad Chris hit his helmet before the ball gets there. That, I can tell you, as a receiver, is impossible. It's impossible to catch something when someone hits your head just as something's coming. So, Dave, let me demonstrate here, okay? I want you to let me you work with me here. Okay, so I want you to catch the pen, okay? Here we go. Ready? Oh, give me another pen. Here we go. Ready?
Okay. I caught it.
You held on.
I caught it. See, that's.
You want to be down there, Randy. You want to be down there.
Very much. Jack, I think I need to slap you upside it because that wasn't a hitch and go. That was a straight fly route, and I think Chris was just
pump fake on it though.
Yeah, and I think that's more for the corner. But I tell you what, BC Lions defense has stepped it up here, and I think the offense has been able to capitalize. We saw Dickinson get lucky with the pass that went through Steinhauer's hands right into Catolo. That kind of kick-started this whole team. And the crowd's into it now here in the game. You can hear, and the BC Lions are enjoying playing for their only second lead of this season, Dave. And I'm telling you, this is what they needed. The BC Lions defense come together, offense is starting to roll, and we've seen the special teams come up and shut down the Argonauts.
Crowd is into it. He's right. We're reminded, being here again tonight, that it can get very loud in this place. There's Frank Catolo. What a job he's been doing for the Leos in his first year in the CFL. 17-3 on Wendy's Friday Night Football. All right, here's the latest from Taylor Field. A couple of 2-0 teams, Montreal and Saskatchewan. The Riders have blown a 19-point lead. Jermaine Copeland with his second major of the night. It's now 30-25 Riders with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And obviously a big game, and Saskatchewan is trying to hang on to that one. Now, there's a big situation happening in Ottawa, a big shakeup with the quarterback position. The big news came yesterday when the Renegades decided to release veteran quarterback Dan Crowley after an ineffective start to the season. Then today they announced that they have acquired quarterback Darnell Kennedy from the Calgary Stampeders for future considerations. Obviously, they grew impatient with Crowley. They're going to go young, and they've got a tough schedule coming up with a 2-game losing streak on the go. Here's Joe Powell.
I know how tough it is to play that position, and I know how hard he worked. But we had to make a decision. Hey, is it 3 games in? Well, when do we make that decision? And we'll take full responsibility of his development, and we just didn't get it done.
There's not anybody in this organization that's panicking. We're very comfortable with where we are, where the foundation is, the work and the hours that we put in, the direction that we're headed, and we're going to go young, and we're going to let the guys play and develop.
Well, Jock, what do you think?
Well, it's not for me to be objective about this, Dave. Dan Crowley's a friend of mine. I played with him back in 1996, and I wish him the best. But, here's the reality of the situation. Dan Crowley was given the start last season and basically told you're the guy, and he struggled. And Ottawa went with a situation where they brought him in and out and platooned him with other guys trying to find a solution. This year, once again, he was the main guy in training camp. He was the guy they expected to lead this team. And you know what? Dan Crowley knows that he missed some throws this year. And, Matt, you know as a quarterback when you have open receivers, it's not a question of guys dropping balls like it was last year, not getting open. He had open receivers, and he missed them with the football, and that will get you cut on a team that is looking to do better than it did last year.
Doc, I think it was a byproduct of a lot of things. I don't agree with what happened last year. I don't think that Dan was given the ball. I think that they had a short leash on him last year, and I think that it crushed the kid's confidence because they had a revolving door at the quarterback situation there. And I understand that it's a difficult position to play. I know Joe's been there. I know E.T. is into this football team, and he's trying to find the answers from behind that position. But I think it all started last year, and it carried over into this year, too. They had an even shorter leash, and I think his confidence was completely blown. But Dan Crowley's no longer in. Now it is Kerry Joseph and Darnell Kennedy to see if they can't right the ship over there in Renegades in our nation's capital.
All right, well, let's talk about Darnell Kennedy. First and foremost, he's got some great physical tools. He's a big, tall, strong kid that can throw the ball with strength and accuracy. I like this in an odd way because it proves to me that Joe Pau and Ken Austin are very confident in themselves as football coaches. They believe that Kerry Joseph, Darnell Kennedy, they can bring them along, teach them how to be a professional quarterback, and produce results. It'll be very interesting to see how these kids develop.
Our next game on TSN is next Thursday in Ottawa. The Renegades taking on Toronto. Then they got a home-and-home with BC. Speaking of BC, how about G-Roy Simon? 4 touchdowns already this season. BC by 14 on Wendy's Friday Night Football.
This day in the CFL is brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. Sport Check, the best value.
July 4th, 1996, Doug Flutie in an Argonaut uniform for the first time, matched up against Matt Dunnigan and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. First quarter action, Flutie hooks up with slotback Jeff Fairholm for the 40-yard catch and run. Toronto up by 7. Cats come right back. Dunnigan hits a streaking Marcus Grant for a 33-yard score. Game tied. Earl Winfield had a productive evening. His second TD catch of the game. Hamilton led 38-35. Last play of the game. Argos trail by 3. Mike Vanderjet for the tie. He just misses. Hamilton wins a thriller, 38-36.
Matty, I'm sure you remember that game pretty well. That was a beauty. Let's talk about the halftime numbers in this game.
Yeah, let's look at this one. I think what the BC Lions have been able to do here is turn the tables on the Toronto Argonauts when they find themselves in the BC Lions' den. They've been opportunistic, much like Toronto was last week, with 10 points off of turnovers, where the Argonauts last week had 24 points off turnovers. That's the difference.
Second half is next. Lions looking for their first win of the season. And right now, they got a 14-point lead on that guy right there.
What do you think, Glenn? Damon a little over-anxious in that opening half?
Well, yeah, maybe. He missed a couple of open targets, was overthrowing a couple of those passes, but I'm sure he settled down at halftime, probably had a chat with Albert Jackson, look for that combination to hook up in this second half.
I would think so. We're ready to get it underway. BC Lions have the lead, 17-3 on the Toronto Argonauts. Prefontaine gets under this one. Drives it down to the 4-yard line. To the 22, and that's where Dickinson and the Lions will begin the second half.
It's been the showdown of the two quarterbacks, and Dave Dickinson so far has been attacking the Toronto Argonauts secondary, primarily on their left side. You can take a look at where the breakdown is. A lot of the throws going to the left side of the offensive formation. A couple of youngsters over there in the secondary, and the key may be 2 for 4 over the middle on the deep touchdowns. One to G-Roy Simon.
You're right.
And Cutolo. Success down the middle and deep for Dave Dickinson.
Cutolo's return has the Lions set up the 22. The running game has been decently effective for BC. Kelvin Anderson has 3 there.
You have Kenny Wheaton on the side of that secondary. Kelvin Anderson becomes even more of a factor because they established him early. And this was the first play from scrimmage in the football game.
He's taking some hits. Solid performance first half for Kelvin Anderson, the ex-Stampeder. Dickinson, another ex-Stampeder, on target there at the 32. G-Roy Simon hangs on.
Pass complete to G-Roy Simon.
G-Roy Simon, we saw the hit chart for Dave Dickinson. G-Roy Simon's been on that side. You see most of the throws from Dickinson. He's going down the middle, and he's going to G-Roy Simon, and why not? Simon with 278 yards coming into this one and 3 touchdowns. Guess what, folks? He's got 4.
That was close to perfect. Dickinson to G-Roy Simon. Dickinson takes off. More than halfway to a first down.
Dickinson keeps the ball.
Back-to-back 8-yard gains.
Second down and 3.
Chris Brazel and G-Roy Simon have been going together to the side of the formation, that time both on the right side where Dickinson was looking. And it's a nice combination to have Chris Brazel over from the Edmonton Eskimos. And he's got the great speed and size at 6'2", but can just fly down that sideline. And then a very smart but quick receiver in G-Roy Simon right beside him.
Dickinson looking at 2nd and 3. Just shy of the 40. He'll put it up wide open. Almost gone. Down to the 20 and captured from behind Chris Brazel. Tripped up. Raphael Ball got there.
Brazel's got the post pattern. Chris Simon on the out. There goes Brazel down into the middle of the field. You see the mix-up from the Argos secondary. Both jumped G-Roy Simon on the quick out. That left Brazel open right down the rail. And when he gets down there, Dickinson puts it out in front of him. And just a trip by Raphael Ball. Or Brazel's in the end zone.
Yeah, he'll take the 50-yard gain, but he's wondering why he didn't get the touchdown out of that. Raphael Ball saved the touchdown. Brazel again. They'll mark it at a 5-yard gain.
You know, combinations of receivers often work out very well when you think of like Robert Gordon and Milt Stegall in Winnipeg. And you get the right combination that you can put together. They can complement themselves in a big way. In other words, you've got the speed of Brazel and then the abilities of G-Roy Simon, who's really got the entire package. I mean, he's got good quickness down the middle. He also has tremendous hands, but he's smart enough to recognize zone coverage. So together, a dynamic duo.
2nd down, shotgun, Dickinson. Thought about running almost immediately, and the spot will be important to the Lions here. Kenny Wheaton over to make the tackle.
Dave Dickinson took a pretty big hit there in the middle from Wheaton.
He'll be a yard shy.
A yard shy and a big hit, and Wally Buono will not listen to the crowd on this one. They were all yelling for Dickinson to go. Watch the hit he takes on the hip down that left side. Went down on his knee as well, but he's up and walking without the limp. So Wally Buono is going to go with the 3 points while he's down inside scoring position, or the red zone, like coaches like to call it.
Curtis Head is in, coming in 5 for 5, the rookie kicker for the BC Lions. Casey Britters puts it down. Curtis Head puts it through. He's having a good night as well. Lions on top, 20-3 on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Numbers on Damon Allen and his success so far.
Sure, we looked at Dave Dickinson. Let's look at Damon Allen. He's been a little bit left-handed. He has spread it around a bit. This is Tony Miles out this side for the most part. But look at the difference between him and Dickinson when he tries to throw the deep ball. Goose egg for Damon Allen going down the middle, left or right with the deep ball. Dickinson has had some success.
Allen still has Michael Jenkins on the sidelines, but he has Morreale over the middle. And he hangs on very close to a first down. First catch for Morreale. Derek Lewis made the tackle.
First down, Toronto.
And that's the type of pattern that's an adjustment at halftime, because it's Morreale right over the middle. And remember, in the first half, we saw Baron Simpson and Carl Kidd, Ron Okami up in the line of scrimmage. So if they're going to be up there, throw the ball in behind them.
Jeff Johnson. Also, Jenkins is back in, 27 there on that carry.
Yeah, well, I had your attention, and we were talking about the last play. He subbed into the game because he didn't start that first series in the first play. But Jenkins is back in the game, giving it a shot, and you know that ankle's bothering him. Retaped it, halftime.
Tony Miles near side. Second down, and the Argos will get a first down. Mike Jenkins. Or Daryl Mitchell, 87, and he's shaken up.
Damon Allen passes lead to 87. Daryl Mitchell. Mitchell is injured on the play.
Well, guys, the Lions could ill afford, the Argos could ill afford to lose Daryl Mitchell as Michael Jenkins is barely able to play. I watched him through much of the second quarter as he was on the sidelines trying to loosen it up. I talked to him, said it's in a lot of pain. It's the same right ankle that he injured last week against Hamilton. Of course, he didn't need to come back in that game because it was so far out of hand. Retaped it at halftime, is desperate to play. He says, all I want to do, no matter how much pain I'm in, is win this game, and you get the sense he'd like to win it for Damon Allen.
Well, and I'm sure Daryl Mitchell would like to have won this one for Damon Allen as well. Let's take a look. We've got a great look at Daryl Mitchell. He runs the quick out pattern there. And you can see that ankle and knee get stuck in the turf and twisted away. A knee should not be twisted.
Daryl Mitchell being tended to by the Toronto Argonaut medical staff. Daryl Mitchell carried off the field by a couple of teammates. He picks up the first down, but this is a tragic loss for the Argonauts right here. Watch.
Well, and this is, you saw the foot, the left foot get stuck in the turf, and all I can say is that you want to hope that it's the ankle and not the knee for Daryl Mitchell, because it's probably the best of what looks like a bad one. And I don't want to speculate, but you're not supposed to bend your leg that way.
Mitchell did pick up the first down, 11 yards, and here's Tony Miles escaping. 3 Lion tacklers. He's inside the 30. Ron Okami over to make the stop on Miles
and
after a 20-yard gain.
It does not look good, and this goes back to this turf. And I know a lot of people we've seen a lot of new turfs installed in Winnipeg and Montreal and Hamilton, and that's that new
field turf.
Field turf that has the rubber inside. It's almost like natural grass, and that's the type of turf that avoids that kind of injury right there.
Argonauts continue this drive. Allen the pump fake. Has Michael Jenkins.
Okay.
And Baron Simpson has him.
Michael Jenkins tackled on the play by Baron Simpson. Pick up 6 yards.
Simpson an All-Canadian the last 2 years. 2001, 2002. Rookie of the Year in that first season.
Well, and how about Baron Simpson? 92 tackles, his first in the CFL last year. CFL All-Canadian. 207 tackles total in the last 2 years. His 2 years as a BC Lion. You know what that means? He's just getting around the football.
2nd and 3. Allen missed the snap. On the run. Morreale was his intended receiver.
And Mike Clemens, after that play, waved off the field goal team. They started running out onto the field. Noel Prefontaine was just about 5-6 yards out. Damon Allen looked like he wanted to change the play. And as he was trying to change the play, the ball is snapped. He hadn't even called for the football. Mike Clemens waved off the field goal team. They'll go for it.
3rd and 3. Argonauts down by 17. Allen gets the first down from Michael Jenkins. So that gamble pays off handsomely for Toronto. Eric Carter over to make the tackle. And Michael Clemens made a very solid and quick decision there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He didn't hesitate, and that's the difference. He didn't sit and mull about it on the sideline. He didn't get his players starting to wonder whether or not they should or becoming coaches, because the coaches down there, if they hesitate, they've got 40 guys that are saying, I think we should kick the field goal and second guess. He just said, no, we're going to get it.
It's a good thing we never second guess the coaches up here.
No, it never happens.
Allen pump fake. And Simpson has Michael Jenkins all wrapped up after a gain of, well, very little there.
You know, and you know the reason that Baron Simpson is such a good football player and has shown that in the last 2 years is he explodes into tackles. There's a lot of players that tackle well. And that's an interesting matchup with Mike Jenkins on the limp and Baron Simpson just flying around to the football. And there's a lot of good tacklers in the game. There's very few that explode into a tackle like Baron Simpson does.
There was no gain. This is 2nd and 10. Allen looks to his second target and overthrows Randy Bowles. Looked to his right and then back to his left and hurried it maybe a little bit.
Well, he looked to his right initially, and Eric Carter and Bo Lewis over there have played together for a long time. Look what Lewis does with the jam on Loud Knight. Alfred Jackson is being tracked up there by Eric Carter, and you're going against the law firm of Lewis and Carter now, and they're saying objection.
Both All-Stars, Lewis and Carter, on that side. Prefontaine gets the Argonauts 3 points closer. So they trail by a couple of touchdowns. Positive drive, though, nonetheless. A couple of sack specialists for the opposing teams, both middle linebackers. Purelator will contribute the quarterback's weight in food to the Vancouver Food Bank. So far, over 4 tons have been donated as a result of quarterback sacks, courtesy of Purelator and the Purelator Tackle Hunger program. Petula returning for the Lions. Dangling that ball out there a little loosely, but he was able to hang on to it going down. And so far tonight, 1 sack each way.
Dave Dickinson, efficient as always with 11 of 16. Completion percentage will once again be up there. It really is amazing. I know Dickinson really only had 2 starting years in Calgary. Was there for 4, but started for 2. But during that time, his career average is 67.8% completion percentage, close to 70.
Dickinson begins from near the 15. Kelvin Anderson ran into Mike O'Shea in his 11th CFL season.
It's interesting. You're seeing at the linebacker position another. When you look at O'Shea and Kelvin Anderson going head to head here, O'Shea, the veteran of 11 years, and when we saw a good shot earlier of Baron Simpson together with Michael O'Shea, and sort of the old school and the new guard coming in. Baron Simpson be a star for a lot of years, and O'Shea hanging on in his career.
A couple of sacks for O'Shea. Flag down as Dickinson unloads. And it's out of bounds far side. The target is Chris Brazel, who made the catch, but he was out.
And it would have come back if he put his feet in bounds because of this.
BC 57. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
That's a couple against Dan Payne tonight.
Well, and this will be a golden opportunity for Damon Allen, and one that he's going to have to really take advantage of. He wants to get the Argos back in with some momentum. He's got Michael Jenkins at maybe 70%. He's lost Daryl Mitchell, #1 target, but he's got to get something going. He should have decent field position.
Michael Fletcher is back for the kick return with Bashir Livingston on the sidelines. After suffering a concussion earlier, this one is not deep at all. Out at about the 41 as Curtis Head had a little trouble with that. Daryl Mitchell still being watched on the sidelines by the Argos medical staff.
Well, guys, the news is not all bad for Daryl Mitchell. He will not play for the rest of this game, but they're not examining his knee. They're examining his ankle. He's got pain all up and down that left leg, right up until the knee, but the tests they're doing are not what you would associate with anterior cruciate ligaments or anything like that. So far, again, he says his knee is not in a lot of pain. It's just the ankle. He'll likely have x-rays after the game or first thing tomorrow.
All right, here's the Argo opportunity right here after a 22-yard punt by Curtis Head. Allen near side has Tony Miles.
See, and Damon Allen goes right back to the opposite side of the defensive secondary, and he'll work on that side with Shad Chris and Tony Walker in the middle and try and work that side, because if he goes the opposite way, he has not had a whole lot of success. And Chris comes over from Calgary in year 2 in the CFL. In the other corner, 9-year veteran Eric Carter. And I mentioned it, Lewis and Carter, the law firm over there, they'll pretty much shut you down.
7th catch for Tony Miles. And good for another first down. Damon Allen smells pay dirt here. He's got Miles again, his 8th of the night. In the open field, Miles gets down to about the 11-yard line. Ron Akame, number 45 for the Lions. Limits the gain to 16 yards with a tackle there.
And again, it's over the middle and to the left side, not on this side of the formation. Eric Carter, last year, 4 interceptions, plays right beside Derek Lewis, and they played together going on 5. This is their 5th season together. Both tremendous players in their own right, but when you can play together with one person for that long, well, you can take it to another level.
16 yards to pick up. Allen under the cover. He has Michael Jenkins. And Akame had to make the tackle there again.
I tell you what, that's the ankle, and I think for Daryl Mitchell, it's also better that it's the ankle than the knee, and the ankle is Michael Jenkins as well. It's a very, very painful injury, but it's better than the knee being blown out. But it is so tough right now, I'm telling you, for Michael Jenkins. He's sucking it up big time.
Gain was 4. This is 2nd and 6. Not quite off the fingertips of Alfred Jackson. A familiar combination, Allen to Jackson in BC all those years.
And Eric Carter collided with his buddy after I talked about Carter and Lewis together being good friends and line mates on that side of the field. Lewis had come over because of motion. And as this play develops, see how he turns back now with the ball in the air and runs directly into his buddy. 2 and 17 collide, and Carter took a while to get up, but the training staff didn't come out so he could stay in the game. Scary moment for BC right there.
Flag down. And so here are the Argonauts with a first down. Inside the 5. There was no announcement on the penalty, but the chance here for Jenkins. Down to the 1-yard line and not in.
That's a gutsy effort by Michael Jenkins.
It'll be 2nd and goal from the 1.
Got a very painful ankle injury, and he is still fighting off tackles. I guarantee you, every time he tries to cut, every time he tries to accelerate, and then when he tries to fight off the weight of defensive linemen, defensive backs trying to hit him, that pain becomes that much more excruciating, and he still has to go in there and battle. And that's one thing you've got to love about this game.
Another crack at it. 2nd and goal to go. The Argonauts at the Lions 1. And we see the flags very plainly this time. The only thing I can think of, Glenn, is that the flag was down way out of bounds at the very back end of the secondary.
Yeah, that was the call. It was half the distance.
Procedure. Toronto 69. Still 2nd down.
Mike Clemens saw that one from Bernard Williams. Chad Chris, and you're talking about that defensive, the penalty in the end zone. Take a look at Chad Chris. It's a good job by the truck downstairs. We picked it up for you, and there's your penalty, and that put them half the distance, which is where they are down there now.
But now with this other penalty, they're back at the 6-yard line. 2nd and goal to go from there. Damon Allen. End zone toss. Tony Miles. Close, not quite.
Tony Miles is going to work from here, waggle down, and then try and work back to the outside. And watch how he does this. Mike Morreale goes out and around him, trying to catch that quick one. That's jumped by Lewis, and then here comes Miles. He has a chance at it. The ball is right on the money. That goes down to Tony Miles' stats. At least it should.
Another gutsy call by the Argonauts going for it on 3rd and goal to go at 6. Wide open. Perfectly played, and Bowles has the touchdown. Damon Allen made it work. He sold it well. And the BC Lions are still looking around to find out what happened to them on that play.
What happened was it was fast break BC Lions on the 3rd down gamble. Here they come. Damon Allen, the play's designed to go to the left. You can tell by the lineman sliding that way. He sees nothing out that way, turns around, knows he has Bowles sitting out there as a relief valve, drops it off to him, and Bowles finishes it off.
I'd say somewhat fitting that a kid from SFU in Vancouver would come up with a touchdown there tonight. Argos get within a touchdown.
Look at Randy Bowles. No coverage right there. No coverage. That means one thing. His linebacker is blitzing. He sees the blitz, and then he says, well, I better pick up and block on the blitz. And then, look, I'm open if you need me. Sure is. Took that football right back in that end zone on a nice cutback right there. How about Damon Allen? Eyes in the back of his head. He knew he had someone behind it, and he just gets it out of there in time. And again, his ability to improvise, second to none.
First touchdown is an Argonaut for Randy Bowles. Lions will try and answer on the return by Frank Cotillo. Raphael Ball made the stop.
You know, this Toronto Argonaut team is putting up a gutsy effort right now. Jock Climby talked about it at the opening of the show and how they had to play 2 games in 5 days. They've had to travel across the country. They've lost a couple of stars, and yet they're hanging in there in battle.
Yeah, 2 gutsy calls by the head coach, I'd say, so far tonight, including the gamble there on 3rd and goal to go from the 6 to get Toronto within a touchdown. Kelvin Anderson. And they closed off that hole in a hurry. Michael O'Shea in the center of things there. Along with Mike Sutton. Or I should say Wayne Weathers.
Dave Dickinson, last couple of series, hasn't had a good drive. And that defense seems to be gaining momentum in the double blue.
Dickinson escapes. Sliding safely at the 45. Huge first down for BC. Tonius Bonner makes the stop along with Raphael Ball on the final play of the 3rd quarter. We're in for a great finish, and here they are.
I couldn't agree with you more, Wells, and to echo Glenn Suter's comments there. What a character situation we got going here for the Argonauts. They've lost 2 of their main offensive weapons. The other one's hurt, yet they've slowly but surely built momentum and gotten right back into the game.
Hey, David, character is about guts and having some courage. How about Michael Clemens? 3rd time this game, he has gone for it in 3rd down, and it benefited again. This big one is on Damon Allen. Wally Guano tries a full blitz. It doesn't work out. Credit Randy Bowles for knowing exactly what's going on. Gets the football to the big fullback, goes A to B and in for the touchdown. Good job by Clemens, having the courage, entering the 4th quarter. This is anybody's game, Matty. Jock.
Well, Damon is obviously starting to come into his own in this game, but he's getting a lot of help. You know, there's a time when losing Mookie Mitchell for the Argo passing attack would be the end of the passing attack for Toronto, but he's got so many more weapons this year. Tony Miles is having a whale of a ball game, and we said it in the preseason, this guy was a great acquisition for Toronto. He's proving it tonight. Now, a little bit surprised by Alfred Jackson, only 2 catches for 7 yards. I'm looking for him to make the 4th quarter his own, Matty.
Yeah, I talked to AJ before the game. We talked about that right scenario. Whereas AJ says you cannot be in a ball game for 58 minutes, and then the quarterback's going to come right to you. In the last 2 minutes of the game, he'll use you. And as Damon possibly can do that. But Dave Dickinson has been certainly going to this young man. He's helping out the offense. Chris Brazel, 5 catches for 85 yards. He's dialing up that BC offense. He's balancing things out across the board with G. Roy Simon and Frank Cotillo. And this BC offense is looking a lot sharper today. And they're enjoying, again, I'll say it, playing with a lead, David.
BC Lions, pressure mounts on them. They're 0-2, and they haven't scored since the 1st quarter. A touchdown, anyway. It's over in Regina. The Montreal Alouettes are now 3-0. They came back from a 19-point 4th quarter deficit. Paul McCallum missed a 47-yard field goal late that could have won it. They suffer their first loss, and Montreal continues to roll, John.
Sounded like the Riders had everything under control the last time we checked in at Taylor Field.
Well, in a couple of weeks of CFL football in 2003, we've seen a few big comebacks already.
The Grey Cup champs, don't deny those guys. Don't count them out. Numbers here so far. Cutolo has had a fine football evening. Frank Cutolo.
Well, Cutolo made a nice catch with the one hand because that may have been a lateral from Dave Dickinson. That may have been thrown behind, which means if Cutolo drops that, it's a fumble. So not only does he come up with a one-hand catch, but he picks up pretty good yards, about 7 on the play. So that's, it may not look like much, but that's a huge play for Cutolo.
Second and 3. And they won't get the first down from Kelvin Anderson this time.
You know, and this is the one when Wally Buono has talked about his offensive line. This is the one that frustrates him, I think, more than anything. Because coaches will always tell you that you need to get that 2-3 yards, maybe 1 yard, 2 yards. You need to get it running the football when everyone in the park knows you have to run the football. And they put in the big team, big, including old Lester Pope at 386, and those big guys up front didn't get it done. And now Wally Buono has to punt the football. That's a big man right there.
Whoa. The largest Lion ever. 386.
You start pushing 4 bills. There's a lot of beef.
Fletcher is back. Curtis had a 22-yarder. He sails this one all the way down to the 5. Fletcher gets out across the 15. Kelly Lockbaum leading the tacklers for the Lions. Let's see what Damon can do when we come back. Damon Allen, now an Argonaut, chasing another legend, Ron Lancaster, for the all-time lead in touchdown passes tossed. Lancaster 3-3-3, and look where Damon Allen is now.
Well, and let's see, he's got 14 to go by him, and they play Hamilton on Labor Day, right?
They will. Here's Michael Jenkins. Gutsy run by Jenkins, shaken up earlier. Baron Simpson rolls him out.
Michael Jenkins on the reverse, knocked out by Baron Simpson.
And when he went past Ron Lancaster for all-time yardage, it was right here in BC Place Stadium. And trivia question, who did Damon Allen throw the football to?
I know, Teach.
There he is, Alfred Jackson, wearing number 7 with the BC Lions. I knew you knew. And Ron Lancaster, the first to congratulate Damon Allen, and who knows, 14 touchdown passes, maybe against Hamilton with Lancaster on the sideline again.
An 11-yard gain as Allen has the Argonauts on the roll. Fake the shovel pass that time to his right. Cuts back in and dives. Barely got under 3 BC Lions there, and Baron Simpson is 1. It is a 4-yard gain.
I'm going to tell you why people we're talking about Alfred Jackson and why he hasn't seen more footballs thrown his way. Look at number 2. Down the field, I'm in your pocket, I got you, you turn this way, I turn that way, you go back here, you go get a Coke, and I'll get the ice. And this is what he's doing. Like, he just drops back, he waits for him to come right to him. And Eric Carter, that's called getting in the hip pocket of the receiver and staying right there.
An All-Canadian again last year, number 2 for the Lions, Eric Carter. Allen found a way to get. And here you go. The big hit. A huge hit. And Carl Kidd comes up with it. And the touchdown.
Eric Carter
makes the hit.
Sure did.
Whoa! He jarred it loose. Michael Jenkins couldn't hang on.
He was sitting back in the zone, and Jenkins had to wait on the football. Damon Allen tried to make something happen. And what a hit. Tipped right into the hands of Carl Kidd, and he took it in. Oh, yeah. And Eric Carter will go and say, there you go. Enjoy that one.
The Argonauts were battling back. And this kills the momentum they had moments ago. Carl Kidd with the touchdown on the interception. It was jarred loose by Eric Carter. And one more look at another BC touchdown. The Lions.
What a hit by Eric Carter. Kid's not touched. Heads to the end zone.
An escort by Carter, but he didn't throw a block. Just waved him home. Kidd and Carter make the play. 17 points off turnovers for the BC Lions so far tonight.
Eric Carter wasn't kidding around, though. He came up, and poor Michael Jenkins waiting on that football had to pay the price.
Here's Michael Fletcher trying to get the Argos rolling again. And he will with a return like that. Out to the 37. Washington made the tackle. Eric Carter makes the play on a broken play by the Argonauts as Damon Allen tries to make something happen.
Yeah, he steps up to avoid the pressure, and then Allen's just trying to get rid of it. Look at that hit. Then Carter gets up and points with both hands to the end zone for Crockett. It's that direction, Carl. It's right there. All you have to do is take it in. Watch the hit. There's a nice catch by Kidd, and then the point, and then the cross from Carter. Yeah, baby.
34-yard touchdown on the return.
That's when football's fun, right there, for DBs.
The Argos are down by 2 touchdowns again. The Lions are manhandling them in many ways tonight, but they're hanging in. And here's the opportunity for Lyle Knight. Oh, yes! Touchdown, Toronto! They're only down by 1 now.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wow. Hey, Mike Morreale. Mike Morreale with the key block. All of a sudden, more of what we thought we were going to get. Here comes Lyle Knight down the seam. He's the second layer. That's Morreale. He's in front of your screen. There's Lyle Knight. He's the second one. Now watch the block by Morreale right here on Eric Carter. Pow, right in the ear hole. He goes down. Now Lyle Knight is gone.
74 yards. The Argos are right back. A touchdown between these two on a night with 2 great quarterbacks standing toe-to-toe. Lyle Knight has the Argonaut touchdown. Lyle Knight was the Argos' leading receiver in the preseason. First touchdown.
Mike Morreale gets the assist here, though, in a couple of ways, because Mike Morreale is the second receiver right here. Now, Morreale is going to take coverage so that Lyle Knight can go down the seam and be wide open beside him. And then at the end of the play, not only will he take coverage away from Lyle Knight, but he'll also assist him into the end zone with a nice block right here on number 2, Eric Carter. So Eric Carter dishes one out and then takes one in the next series.
74 yards. Here's the Argo kickoff. Patillo returning for the Lions. He has a touchdown tonight. And he's bulldogged to the turf at the 33. Chuck Winters on special teams there.
Yeah, now Chuck Winters is playing like now the special teams pick it up a notch. Another look at the touchdown. Damon Allen had it read perfectly, knew exactly where he wanted to go with the football, and that's his best throw of the evening. It gave Lyle Knight a chance to cut back against the grain, set up his blocking. Morreale put a nice one. And you know what? He was patient with it. Watch how Morreale puts the brakes on, waves on his teammate, and puts it right in front of him.
Also helping with the escort was Tony Miles. It's Dave Dickinson's turn, beginning at the 32. Brett Anderson. He's been great the last couple of weeks. Raphael Ball forcing Anderson up. 2 equals 13 yards for Anderson on the season so far. First catch for him tonight, and he has 36, so he's doubled his season output.
Hang on, folks. The quarterbacks are starting to settle in. They're starting to settle in. Nice little slot back screen pass to Brett Anderson, and he's coming into his own in his 7th year with the BC Lions.
A 7-point game. just outside the 41. First down. Dickinson. And there's a flag down as Dickinson hits the turf. Catullo was the intended receiver. Coverage from Clifford Ivory.
And this penalty flag is going to put the Lions in a bit of a hole.
Holding BC 65. First down repeated.
Ben Fairbrother, the right guard, was working with Corey Mantica to pick up the blitz from the Toronto Argonauts. Tony Bonner had come off the edge. Ben Fairbrother and Mantica were assigned to try and pick it up, and they had to hold to do it. So the Lions back in a hole, but they still have first down.
However, it is 1st and 20. Back at the 52 now, 9:43 to go, final quarter in BC. Dickinson, wide open receiver, far side. Fell well. Comes up short of the 10-yard area, and he'll need 13 yards on second down now.
I just love the way both teams are battling. And you knew one thing, Wally Buono was going to get his team ready to play. Dave Dickinson had something to show. He wanted to prove that it was a great decision to bring him to BC. Damon Allen starting to come on now in the fourth quarter. And one thing throughout this whole game, they're hitting each other. See Clifford Ivory headhunting on that last one?
I did. 7 points separating two teams. 2nd and 13 for Dickinson here. Oh, no! The opportunity was there for Adrian Smith. Brazel was the intended receiver. Dickinson missed his target, and it was almost even.
Dickinson took so long to get this one out. This was the 3rd or 4th read for Dave Dickinson. By the time he went to throw this one, the wide field out, way too long. And Adrian Smith catches this one, and it's Pixies in a dance.
From that angle, it looked like a little more difficult to make the catch. It looked a little more difficult to make the catch. Good kick from Curtis Head. Well, hang on. It's out of bounds around the 7, so there's no return. Not quite as happy as he might have been. It's Damon's turn, and we'll be right back.
Out of town tonight, the Montreal Alouettes improved to 3-0. Tough night for the Riders. They blow a sizable lead in the second half at home, and they lose running back Cedric Shaw to a suspected ACL injury. There's your final, 32-31.
So those Alouettes are rolling along with a 1-point win there. Perfect so far for the Grey Cup champs. Damon Allen tries to get the Argos back to even. Bumps it once, looks deep for Alfred Jackson. They'll fight for it. He's got it. Alfred Jackson makes the catch. Flag goes down. Eric Carter was on the coverage there. And Jackson hangs on.
Well, there's no question, and Jackson looks like he's down holding that right knee, but there's no question there was some hand fighting and pushing and shoving going down the field. You're going to see a great look at it right here. 2 on number 5, Eric Carter and Alfred Jackson. Push from Carter right there with the right hand. He's leaning on him. Jackson battling for the ball. I don't see a penalty.
Pass interference. BC number 2. First down.
And this is worse news for the Argos. Daryl Mitchell already out, will not return. Now they said it was ankle for Mitchell. Bashir Livingston right beside him, already out.
Suspected.
Concussion. Michael Jenkins playing at about 70%, and now Alfred Jackson down on the field. And this is just good football play. And I don't know, maybe there was something right at the very end from Eric Carter, a little pull, but you can see how he pushed down on that left leg of Jackson. It looked like he jammed it a little bit as he went down. Oh yeah, that was a right knee, and you could see how he got his foot caught in the turf and twisted as he went down.
Jackson getting into the Argonaut lineup for the first time here tonight. He was injured in preseason. It was a hand injury that he battled back from. And it was up to Jackson whether or not he wanted to play tonight. Coach Clemens said, it's up to you. The doctors have given you clearance. Jackson said, it's BC.
Well, I think he would.
tonight.
Yeah, I think he would have had to lose his hand completely to be kept out of this one. And you could see him walking off on his own there. A little bit of a limp. Hopefully he'll be back.
A 53-yard gain stands for the Argonauts. Damon Allen and two Lions surround him there, including Mike Sutton, the rookie out of Louisiana State.
Well, now Damon Allen has to look at Michael Palmer, get him involved and lean heavily on Tony Miles as they continue to check Alfred Jackson on the sideline. Two of his stars now in the lineup, so Allen now has to look to Lyle Knight in just his second year and lean heavily on that man, Tony Miles, who has put together a very good football game. Got to go to him again.
8 receptions for Miles tonight. This is second down. Allen for Morreale, and the coverage was a little close. Morreale didn't like it one little bit.
Good timing on the play from Tony Walker to knock that one out of the hands of Mike Morreale. But what Damon Allen did with the drive and with the one throw to Alfred Jackson is regain all of that field position, because there's still lots of time. The field position battle is as important as the point battle right now.
And the Lions have not been as effective moving the football in the second half. Frank Cutillo deep for BC. Prefontaine angles it out of bounds. And there'll be no return on that one. Sport Check brings you the game story here.
Well, we're going to have probably 5 chapters to it. Here's 4 of them. G. Simon got off to a good start with another TD catch, his 4th of the year.
And it didn't take a rocket scientist to predict that Damon and David would have an interesting night, did it?
Lyle Knight with a nice one on a block from Morreale.
And the Lions have moved the football, but turnovers have contributed.
Here could be another chapter in the story. Daryl Mitchell hurt. We heard it's ankle. Alfred Jackson out. Still looking at
him. G. Simon makes the catch and steps up.
As Jackson caught this football, you could see how the inside of that right foot, he got the right side of his foot stuck in the turf. It jammed his knee. He's trying to walk it off.
That's the game story thus far. Brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. Sport Check, the best value. Dave Dickinson has Kelvin Anderson sliding out of the backfield. He'll get a huge first down for the Lions at the 35. Adrian Smith over to make the stop.
This was patience by Dave Dickinson to wait until all of the coverage had taken off and gone to the middle of the field. He takes his time to deliver this football. He waits, he waits, he waits, and then he drops it off to Kelvin Anderson. So now Kelvin Anderson has room.
75 yards for Anderson so far. Just under 6 minutes to go. Dickinson. Anderson again. He'll add a couple more to that total on first down. Antonius Bonner makes the stop.
Tackled by Bonner. 2nd and 6.
You know, and when for Dave Dickinson, we saw the MASH unit in the Argos sideline. Well, Dave Dickinson has the luxury of all of his weapons in the lineup still. He's got G. Simon still healthy. He's got Chris Brazel now healthy. And Kelvin Anderson behind him. So all his weapons still in the lineup, whereas Damon Allen's now down to the 2nd and 3rd stringers.
Dickinson looks at 2nd and 5. And there was early movement from Bonner. Free play for Dickinson. Should have the first down as a result. Frank Cutillo.
Bonner tried to time up the blitz from the linebacking core, and he got his momentum going downhill, and once he did, he couldn't stop it. But this is a play that Dave Dickinson helps himself through his cadence.
Offside, Toronto number 10, penalties decline, first down.
Dickinson wants to use the cadence and go through the entire snap count in order to have the defense declare itself. the longer he stays there in his snap count, the defense finally has to get out of their disguise and then start coming towards the line of scrimmage, and he caught Bonner.
The Lions near midfield at the BC 51, first down. Slight delay for Calvin Anderson. He makes this himself. Great run by Calvin Anderson, who swung it to the outside.
Wayne Weathers is saying, I had it. Like, fellas, I had it. I went up the field, no one blocked me, and I had him. You're going to see, good look at it. Watch 99. I got him, right? No, I don't got him.
14 more for Calvin Anderson.
Good running backs always make the first guy miss.
Here are the Lions, leading by a touchdown, set up at the Argonaut 45. Dickinson halfway to a first down. G-Roy Simon making the catch on the sideline.
And this is typical Dave Dickinson. Talking about how methodical he can be with the football. I mean, this game has seen the momentum go back and forth, and most recently it was with the Argos. But guess what? Dave Dickinson with this drive, dumping the ball to Calvin Anderson, getting him involved in the running game, has sucked all the momentum back to the orange jerseys.
The gain is 6, 2nd and 4 here. Lions inside the 40 now. Dickinson again, Simon again. There'll be another Lion first down.
Well, I mean, now, you know, Michael Fletcher at the end of this play started to show some of his frustration. It is difficult when you're in the secondary and a quarterback is just nickel and diamond and picking you apart. Every time you give him something, he takes it, because every defense has a weakness. Every defense has a hole. The field is too big to cover them all. And Dickinson has found that hole every single time on this drive.
Another 6-yard gain, another first down for the Lions. Dickinson, quick release. Frank Catullo. Bond was there, lost the ball. Argonauts say they've recovered it. Michael Fletcher.
Now a late flag comes out there. Alonda Steinauer came out of the bottom of the pile with the football, but the initial indication from the official was that it was going to be second down.
Michael Fletcher indicated that the Argonauts had recovered.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Toronto 50. It was after the play. First down.
Ball did come loose.
Steinauer is right there with the football. And they called the penalty after the play.
And didn't rule it a fumble. So the ground obviously made Catullo fumble the ball in the eyes of the officials here.
Talk about a little frustration. Let's take a different angle at it. There's the ball's out. That's a fumble. No question that's a fumble. Now, Alonda Steinauer is right there trying to pick it up. They finally get to it. And the penalty's after the fact. I'm not sure how they believe BC ended up with that football. Well, Bonner did get his hand across the face mask, too.
So the Lions' drive does continue.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, the Argos did have, it was after the fact, so the Argos did get the football, my bad. I got it, I caught up.
A little confusion down there with no question.
Tony Miles, first down.
Tony Miles will have the first down for the Toronto Argonauts.
Okay, I think I've got this sorted out now. The first official that showed up on the scene, you're going to see him in a moment, waves that it's BC Lion ball, second down. You'll see him right there. You see how he's waving his arms. He is not giving the Argos the ball right there. But now 45 late, and this is very subtle. He just goes Argo ball. And 45-1.
And that's what Fletcher is saying there, too. We had the Fletcher indication correct, but we now have an Argonaut first down again. And Knight slides across the 35.
Well, guys, for the rest of this game, Damon Allen won't have Alfred Jackson to work with. Jackson hyperextended his knee on that big catch down the right sideline. I talked to him earlier. He's trying to walk it off and says that there's just too much pain right now. He can't push off the knee at all. Doesn't know if it's a ligament thing yet, but again, hyperextended, so he won't play.
And that should be enough for the first down for the Argos to continue this drive after the turnover.
Damon Allen now has plenty of time with 2:27 left. I mean, there is no need to panic. He can still involve Michael Jenkins. You can score 2-3 times in the CFL in 2:27.
The Argos patching together an offense here for Damon Allen. He's down by a touchdown, and he's got Tony Miles again out near the 50. Tony Walker made the stop there.
19 yards, first down.
Well, don't forget to vote for the Rogers AT&T Wireless Player of the Game. Give it a try on the internet to CFL.ca or by text messaging on your cellular phone. Type in Go CFL. And I'm not so sure that we've decided who the player of this game would be as yet.
Just maybe the player that has the ball in his hands when the final gun goes off. Maybe G. Roy Simon will have to come back with a big catch. Maybe Damon Allen finds a way to finish this drive and ties the game, and we play into overtime. Whoa! 45 attempts. Big game for Damon Allen, and not often in his career has he pushed the 400 mark passing the football. When he wins, he oftentimes wins at around 150, 200. And when you add it all up over 19 years, it's more than anyone has thrown CFL history. Dave Dickinson with a great completion percentage again, 21 of 28. He's crawling up against 300.
He doesn't have this game under control. However, the Lions do have the lead by a touchdown. Allen stands in. He's got time. Morreale, the receiver, and he takes a hit. Couldn't come up with a catch. Flag on the far side, and there did appear to be some early movement.
Boy, did Damon Allen ever have a bunch of time. I mean, he just settled in the pocket, relaxed, set his feet, threw a strike that was flat out dropped by Mike Morreale.
Offside, Toronto 18. Penalties decline, second down.
Injured player on the field.
So Morreale did get an early start. Another injured player being tended to down there. Next Friday night, we're off to Ivor Wynn in Hamilton. The Stampeders and the Tiger Cats head-to-head in that one. So join us for Wendy's Friday Night Football 1 week from tonight.
Was that a big game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats? They want to bounce back. After having it handed to them by Mike Clemens, the Toronto Argonauts.
Mike Clemens has made some interesting decisions tonight, and those decisions have kept the Argos in it. A shootout at the stadium at BC Place tonight. Damon Allen, the former BC Lion, against Dave Dickinson, the former Calgary Stampeder.
Well, we set it up as a tremendous spectacle between two great quarterbacks, both motivated for different reasons, both very different in style. Both put on a show tonight. Damon Allen took a while to get going, but he's put together a pretty good fourth quarter.
50th anniversary of the founding of the BC Lion franchise, and they're looking at it with a retro approach. The cat's paw on the side of the helmet was how the Lions came into the CFL in 1954. Allen pump fake once, and Tony Miles open, overthrown. It'll be third down.
A minute 56 now. Dave Dickinson gets a chance, and this is all a quarterback ever wants, is the football with enough time on the clock to move it down. This is a big punt for Noel Prefontaine. He needs to try and angle this, get no return, and get it inside the 10.
Keeps it low. It's a dribbler. He's got it inside the 5. Solid special teams coverage by the Argonauts, and a tackle made by Kevin Eben.
Well, all you want, if you're the starting quarterback, is the football at the end of the game with a chance. You got a little lucky to start this game.
Well, this one was a beauty, however, to make it 14-0.
Can't throw it any better than that one to G-Roy Simon. And now he has a golden opportunity to write the final chapter in this game.
Well, he does, but the Argonauts still have an outstanding opportunity themselves if they can force the Lions to give up the ball in a hurry. With 1:48, lots of time for Damon Allen, too. Kelvin Anderson, and the run game has worked rather well for BC so far tonight. Anderson does not get substantial yardage that time. Gain of 3 yards.
Well, Kelvin Anderson, you said earlier, John, that he would see the ball probably around 20 times. He's approaching that at 13 carries. He also has seen it a few times out of the backfield, just little swing passes in underneath routes, close to that 100-yard mark. Toronto has just used their timeout. You get 1 per half. There's 1:44 left, so they can't stop the clock with a timeout. Lions still have theirs.
BC looking at 2nd and 7, however. And they look to Kelvin Anderson again. Stopped initially, spins around, and he won't get it this time. Marvin Thomas, 98, had him wrapped up.
Marvin Thomas. 3rd down, BC.
Well, this Argo defense has had to reach way down deep to come up with some plays, because there were times in this game they could have folded the tent. Things weren't going well on special teams, but they reached down, they kept battling, and all of a sudden, in a 2-and-out, in a crucial point of the game, and you probably will see some questioning of the call on 2nd down by Wally Buono, but they came up with a 2-and-out, and they'll give the ball back to Damon Allen.
It was 2nd and 7. Curtis Head out to midfield. Mike Fletcher. He's to the 45 and upended there. 12 on the return, and Lyle Green leading the tacklers. So Allen gets one last chance.
Yeah, talk about writing the chapter in this game. I mean, the final chapter, you think Damon Allen, this would be the perfect way. He would write it down this way for the Hollywood script. Came out of here, we were a little sluggish to start. Dickinson looked pretty good, but guess what? The old pro of 19 years found a way. That would be the end for him. His book.
Yes. Allen. An open target. That's the new kid on the block in Toronto. Michael Palmer, a rookie out of Guelph.
Well, the rookie comes up with the catch because the 5 guys up front for Damon Allen gave him all day. And all of a sudden, it looks like that BC defensive line is slowing down. Remember, the Argos have a chance to win this game without Daryl Mitchell, without Alfred Jackson.
Allen on 1st down. He'll get another one inside the 20. Tony Miles has had a great night. And A.J. Alfred Jackson limping on the sidelines.
When you're 0-2 and you're in this part of the game, it is tough. Jenkins also banged up, and he's battling.
Argonauts. Allen being pursued, turns the corner. Can he get there himself? Not quite, but he gets inside the 5. He had a target over the middle, but he committed to the run.
He did have Morreale over the middle, but because he was on the dead fly, Morreale went the opposite direction that Allen was flushed. Morreale's heading to the left. Allen gets flushed out to the right. He can't get it back there. He almost trips on the official, but somehow still gets the corner. And look at the D-line. they are starting to slow down. They look tired.
Second down, 1 to go, Argonauts. And they'll get the first down. This drive will continue. And Mike Clemens is looking at a tie football game right now. He's down by a touchdown. Has a couple of cracks at it from here. Well, they'll measure to see how close Allen really was.
And maybe the concern for the opposite sideline is his defense and the fatigue level.
It is a first down.
Because if the Argos punch it in, they're going to have to go into overtime in a couple of series. So if you're Wally Guano, most of those D linemen have their hands on their hips, and they're barely getting down in that stance. They're taking their time at it.
The Lions had a big lead. The Argonauts have battled back.
That's the first sign of fatigue, is when you start putting your hands on your hips and kind of walk back slow to the huddle.
23 seconds on the clock. 23.
They got to go into some overtime, and that D-line is now starting to get a little tired. And down here is when you really got to reach down and plant your feet and drive off the football.
Argonauts have 23 seconds left. They're at the 4-yard line. Touchdown! A couple for Randy Bowles tonight, and we're a point away from a tie game with 13 seconds remaining.
Fatigue in that defensive line showed right down on the goal line. It took them a while. Look how they were leaning on their guys. They got driven right off the football. Mark Phelan up front. Tyrone Williams, they got pushed right back. While he was critical of his defense coming in, he's not going to be happy with that.
For the tie, Noel Prefontaine. Overtime, a very distinct possibility with 13 seconds on the clock. Randy Bowles has a couple of touchdowns, and the Argonauts have scrapped their way back to get even with the BC Lions, who led 14-0 early and claimed 17 points off turnovers.
Disappointment from the head coach, and that D-line on that play was leaning. They didn't fire off the ball. There was a huge bubble for Randy Bowles to run through, and now they have to find a way to get some energy for little OT, because it looks like that's where we're headed.
If I were a gambling man, I would suggest that we might be playing a little shootout here to decide this one tonight.
Mike Clemens' concern is his stars out of the lineup, and sooner or later that's going to rear its ugly head somewhere along the way. You got to believe, but boy, Tony Miles has stepped up.
Well, Tony Miles has had a terrific evening from start to finish. He was the receiver that Damon went to in the early going of this game. He didn't find Alfred Jackson until much later. 139 yards.
11 catches for Miles.
So the Lions have 7 seconds to get to the end zone.
And that may be enough time for 2 plays. The one that Dickinson has to throw to get about 30 yards, and the field goal team to get on the field in a hurry.
Frank Cotullo's return gets BC out.
But you know one thing, John, the Argos will drop back. They'll play 4 deep zone defense, which means they'll have 4 defensive backs and split the field into quarters and give lots of room to the BC Lions receivers. They want them to throw about a 15-yard pass and come up and make the tackle. The game's over and they're going to OT.
Dickinson under the deep cover, and Calvin Anderson is wrestled to the turf by Michael O'Shea. You didn't like the call, Mike?
Yeah, oh yeah, well, that's it. 3 out of the last 4 times when the panel's on the road, we go to OT.
There we go now. Zeros on the clock at the stadium at BC Place. Damon Allen and Dave Dickinson, a shootout to be sure.
Welcome back. Well, we came all this way. You know, we may as well have a little OT. What a spectacular performance by the Toronto Argonauts tonight. Real gutsy performance. 2 big plays there in the fourth quarter with the Eric Carter TD. Toronto answers right back. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, a lot of credit has to go to a number of people in this Argo organization for being in this ball game. First of all, Pinball Clemens for having the guts to go for it on a number of occasions on third down. It was necessary now, in hindsight, we realized, to do that in order to have a shot at winning this. How about the Argo receiving core? They lose Mitchell and Jackson, and they march all the way down the field and execute very effectively with a lot of young guys. And Damon Allen has had one heck of a ball game.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a return for him. My hat's off to him for competing and keeping his composure when he easily could have lost it early in this ball game. And somebody that stepped up big for Damon Allen, not only his offensive line, but a young receiver that reminds me a lot of Raghav Ishmael, Tony Miles. Tony Miles is simply an awesome quarterback, an awesome receiver. He stepped up big with the absence of Mitchell.
They had a great receiver, but the reason this game is close and we're tied going into overtime is the quality of the quarterbacks makes a big difference in the CFL.
All right, we're done. We're going to turn around and we're just going to watch the rest of this and put our feet up and leave it up to Wellesley and Suits. Go, guys.
Here we go. Another shootout in the CFL. Damon Allen and the Argonauts get first crack at it.
Oh!
And he's down.
Is he ever?
Wrapped up by Tyrone Williams.
And it's a big one because it pushes the Lions out of field goal range. BC won the toss and decided to play defense first. Here are your rules in the overtime shootout. Teams will play a maximum of 2 mini games.
Scrimmaging from the 35, attempting to score. The team that scores the most points in the mini game earns 2 points in the standings.
If the game's still tied after the shootout, they get a point each.
A loss of 7. 2nd and 17. Lions defense comes up big. Allen, oh! Look for Tony Miles. It wasn't far off on the connection there.
And right now, you're looking at almost a 50-yard field goal attempt for Noel Prefontaine on third down. And that puts Mike Clemens into a bind. Do you gamble here or try the long one?
He's looking at 3rd and 17.
He's going to put Prefontaine on the field and try for a long field goal. Prefontaine's longest coming into the game was 47. 49-yard field goal attempt for Prefontaine right here.
Prefontaine perfect coming into the game at 4 for 4. It's down, it's up, it's wide. Lions will take it up and get the opportunity.
Well, he had the distance. He had the distance. He just pushed it. How big is the Tyrone Williams sack? Put Prefontaine in that situation. His longest in his career is 51, so it's within his range in controlled conditions in the dome. But now, the Lions have hand.
Absolutely. From the 35, the Lions get their chance. No points on the board for the Argonauts in overtime. So this
and John,
is there for Dave Dickinson to take.
This is why the BC Lions decided to play defense first. Now they know what they're dealing with. Now they can play conservatively and kick a field goal to win it.
Kelvin Anderson gets BC a little bit closer.
And you see the play call. They just go up the middle to Kelvin Anderson. He puts both hands over the football because the Argos did not generate a point. So now all the Lions need is a single to win this game. They're already.
They could punt it right through the end zone.
That's right
now.
And they're already in field goal range.
9 yards for Kelvin Anderson. And to avoid a problem here, they're going to go for the field goal on 2nd down.
Right. Now, the reason they do this is because if there's a bobbled snap, they still have 3rd down to go ahead and kick it again. So Wally Buono will try on 2nd down to give himself, realistically, 2 chances at the field goal. Remember, Head is perfect on the season.
Remember, Head is a rookie in the Canadian Football League. Brand new to the BC Lions. Here it is, game on the line for a rookie kicker. He's got it. Lions have their first win of the season. This was the game 1 year ago, week 3, when the Lions had all kinds of kicking problems. Matt Kellett missed all those field goals and they lost. And from then, the BC Lions went on a bit of a tailspin and had a difficult time recovering.
And the change at kicker by Wally Buono has worked out for both Matt Kellett, who was perfect going into the Montreal game tonight, and Curtis Head, who came up with a huge play. But I want to go back to a defensive play from Tyrone Williams on first down with the Argos in his first chance at points. That sack pushed Noel Prefontaine really into a long field goal situation.
And here's the miss by Prefontaine.
Had the distance. And
not the accuracy.
A little bit wide to the left. It was run out, and Curtis Head had a chance to knock it in for the winning point.
The game winner from 33 yards out for a rookie kicker out of Marshall. And Wally Buono has his first victory as the head coach of the BC Lions. It was a tough night on the Argonauts, who battled all the way, but they come up short in overtime.
Welcome back. We're going to stay with you to the top of the hour and hash this one out. We said it was going to be a good one. Started slow for Toronto, but they fought their way back into this one and forced OT and a rookie kicker. Following after they released Matt Kellett, Curtis Head is still perfect on the season. He gets it done in the first overtime period, and they get their first win of the season at 30-27. We'll start with you, Schulte, but just let me give Damon Allen's numbers. 31 of 50, 407 yards, 2 touchdowns, the 1 pick. Great night on his return. Everything worked except for the win, obviously.
Well, it really did. I mean, for the BC Lions, it was a team victory as well. I mean, give them full credit for winning this. But this Toronto Argonaut team is pretty doggone good. Damon Allen gives them the security they've always needed at the quarterback position. They went through a lot of adversity in losing their receivers, losing running backs at different periods of time. They got a great blitz package, great pressure package from the defense. The Argonauts are a good team. I'm not one of these guys that thinks every time you lose, you can't improve. Credit BC, but good team, Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, and we heard Dave talk about Damon's numbers, Chris.
Right.
They're 407 yards in the air. But I think it was the 10 yards that he got on the ground late in the game. It was once again Damon Allen with his legs giving his team an opportunity to tie up the football game. My hats off. I'm talking to Jock throughout the course of the ball game there, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm watching this game thinking, the level of execution here is phenomenal. We're not worried about the quarterback's decision-making out there. We're watching excellent line play, defense, linebackers stepping up, defensive backs, Eric Carter stepping up, making a huge hit. This game was a well-executed game from my perspective as an analyst, but more so as a fan. I was kicked back watching and loving every minute of it.
This game is the kind of game that reminds you why we love the CFL and we love football. And you know, what I noticed was interesting was how the D-line and the pressure you put in the quarterback always seems to determine the football game. You notice that Damon Allen had no time to throw in the first half, but it's just the nature of the game. Exhaustion sets in, and all of a sudden he was able to set back in the pocket and play catch with his receivers in the fourth quarter, and that was the difference that allowed him to come back. But then what happens in overtime? Damon Allen takes a sack after the pause, so after the rest for the switch over going into overtime. All of a sudden they get to recharge their engines a little bit, and boom, they were in the backfield, and that ended up being the difference in the game. The D-line finding enough pressure, enough energy to get pressure on Damon.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments. That could be a very costly night for Toronto. Bashir Livingston, Michael Jenkins finished the game, and he's nicked. Mookie Mitchell, Alfred Jackson. Who am I leaving out there? There was, I think that's it. Yeah, it was could be potentially a very costly loss here in Vancouver tonight for the Argos. But Dave Dickinson and the Leos find a way, just barely, to beat the wily old vet. Back with more after this. There were 2 big games on the CFL schedule tonight, and both of them went down to the wire. The Saskatchewan Roughriders needed that 35-yarder from Paul McCallum. That would have won it. He missed it, and there you see the reaction. And it was a frustrating night for the Riders because they blew a big second-half lead. Montreal improves to 3-0, and running back Cedric Shaw of the Riders went down in this game with a suspected ACL injury. Now, here's our game story brought to you by Sport Check. Curtis Head, the 33-yard winning field goal in overtime. He's perfect on the season. Great performance by the rookie there. We build this as a quarterback battle, and check out the numbers. Look at how those guys lit it up tonight, Allen and Dickinson. For more, let's take it back to the booth and bring in John Wells and Glenn Suter.
Two great quarterbacks get together head-to-head. It was Allen against Dickinson, and what you saw was two contrasting styles and two great performances.
Yeah, and both did it their way. And Dave Dickinson had great success throughout the entire game, doing it the way he likes to do it, methodically moving the football team down the field. He got lucky off the opening drive with a bit of a catch by Katola at the back of the end zone after it went through Orlando Steinauer's hands.
And this was the beauty from Dave Dickinson.
Yeah, and that was a perfect pass. But he used Kelvin Anderson. He used all his weapons, and he moved the football down the field methodically.
What I thought was rather interesting about the game overall was the Argonauts had to battle back all night long. They were down 14-0 early. Mike Clemens made some decisions that kept the Argonauts in the football game. He gambled a couple of times and somehow found a way to force the overtime.
Well, I know the guys in the panel just down the booth from us here love the way the Argos played. I heard Chris Schultz talk about it, and I believe it too. The gutsy performance from the Toronto Argonauts tonight didn't just happen with the football team. It also happened with the coaching staff, because Mike Clemens' decisions to gamble 3 times, those were gutsy calls.
Yeah, they were.
And they came through for him, and that kept him in the game.
And that's why we saw overtime in a terrific football game here at BC Place tonight.
It was a fun one, and I think players and teams, once they see that we're coming out, they should pretty well book it. It's going to go to OT. It seems to happen a lot. Let's talk to the winning quarterback now, who's kind enough to join us. We haven't had the opportunity to welcome Dave Dickinson back to the CFL. We're 3 weeks in. Congratulations on the victory, Dave. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this one tonight?
Well, we figured we'd try to get some fan interest here and keep it closer at the end. And I can't give Damon enough credit there. He rallied his troops. We really made that one mistake late with the fumble that hurt, and we got a little conservative. So we came out on fire and looked pretty sharp at the beginning, and hopefully we'll keep her going next week.
Dave, it's Jock Climby here. Just wondering if you feel comfortable in the offense now, comfortable with the receivers. I know obviously this is a new system for you. How are you feeling like you've adjusted to it and your new personnel?
Probably more comfortable with the receivers and protection calls and knowing where we're going to get picked up and who's hot and that sort of thing. The common misconception is this is Wally's system. Well, when we were running in Calgary, it was John Huffnagel's and George Cortez's. So it's a brand new system. Offensively, I think we're picking up things quicker than I thought we would, and we've got a bunch of new people every week. We're just getting more and more Calgary guys coming over. So. No, we'll hopefully get Jason Claremont back, but Brett Anderson has really stepped up and played good football, and we're running the ball pretty well.
Dave, Matt Dunnigan here. First of all, I'd like to welcome you back in the league. It's a pleasure watching you play again in the CFL.
Thanks, Matt.
With the addition of Chris Brazel, your relationship with G. Roy Simon already, how important has that been for you?
Well, really, Chris only practiced the 2 days of camp and then blew out that hammy, and I don't know if he's necessarily quite at 100% anyway. We saw him open up there and hit a seam for us. I'd like to, down the road, be able to work him on some one-on-one matchups with his height and his speed. I think he could be pretty dangerous. And, I think once we get Jason back, that's quite a potent receiver lineup, similar to what Edmonton's got up there. So we're going to score some points. Now, if we can just avoid the mistakes, I think we can win some games.
Hey, Dave, Chris Schultz here. Talk to me a little bit about Kelvin Anderson, because a quarterback's best friend is always his running back. And you just seem to feel so comfortable with him right behind you from the center position.
Well, yeah, he's running hard right now. Actually, I was calling a lot of those plays late in that game, and I made a bad call down there in the goal line. I was so confident that they would think we were going to run, and I thought they were going to try to zone blitz us, just drop out of the middle, and we'd hit a seam. But one thing about Kelvin, never fumbles. He never turns the ball over. He plays every game. He's very durable, and he caught the ball well out of the backfield, and he makes a lot of plays. And for anyone in Calgary that thought he was washed up and they went with their guy, we were more than happy to get him.
Dave, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight, and thanks for helping out, keeping it close. It always helps us and the fans and everything. We appreciate that.
All right, guys.
All right, Dave Dickinson, a great performance by he and the Leos, both teams. Really put on a great show tonight on Wendy's Friday Night Football, taking it to OT, and here's how it ended. In the first overtime session, Curtis Head, the rookie, ice. Money. 33 yards away. Look at the reaction by Fletcher there in the end zone. It's over. The Lions get their first win of the season, and now they got to go to Montreal next week. By the way, we should thank Bob Ackles and the Lions. They left us these nice retro jerseys here. Everybody got one. Schultz, they got me one. We put the names on there. Bob Ackles and the Lions organization. Nice touch. Thanks a lot.
Mine's over there somewhere.
This is down there. It was a pleasure being here in Vancouver for what was a great football game. Our next game is going to be next Thursday night, it's going to be Damon Allen again, taking on the Ottawa Renegades, who are going to go with a different starting quarterback after they released Dan Crowley. So Damon and the Argos will pick up the pieces, find out who's still ready to go, and they'll tee it up on TSN next week. Coming up next, Dan O'Toole and Jennifer Hedger have the complete wrap on the day in sports in SportsCenter. That is immediately following our sign-off right here. The player of the game in the losing cause, brought to you by Rogers AT&T, is Damon Allen with 42% of the vote and with 407 yards passing. I'd say that was a great choice by all of you guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. You are watching TSN, Canada's sports leader.